Oh, welcome, 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 welcome. Except you, and you know who you are. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, hand. Hand.
Hi.
Grabbing those trees. Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey.
How is everyone? What's this box thing? What's that? I never seen that before. Is that a new thing? Oh, that's probably, what is that? Live show. Guests will take turns performing. Interesting.
Huh, that's
Countdown set for guest at the same time. Set for all guests at the same time. Countdown. Oh, I guess they get in a box or something. Hey, hey, hey! Welcome, welcome. Hey, Monica, and Anna, and Crystal, Graham. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Science Meets Nature. Welcome, brother. Hope you can get in here. How you doing, Alma? I seen you on earlier. I just missed the last half of it, and your thing kept freezing or something.
Oh, I'm good.
Crystal
I
Graham.
was trying to talk about my program that I'm launching, but I was at the park with my kids, so I didn't get good service. So I just ended up getting off. You didn't miss much.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Everyone's
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, I did it. I heard you.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Gracie.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, hey, good, good. Welcome in, everybody. How are you doing, Miss? Good to see you. Look at that face.
I'm here, man. I'm here.
It's good enough for us. Good to see you. Good to see you. Uh, how is everybody? Welcome to the round table. Other people
Hey,
in,
Monica.
so as they go, may have to leave here, but I'll turn it over to either Tracy or Angie here. I have to step away just for a sec. Getting well at the water at the well here. Hey, Angie. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh,
Um, hey, Angie.
What's up?
I might have to step away from here in a bit, so I'll turn it over to you or Tracy. And I just have to do some things. It'll take me like 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. But I'll let you know when I step away. You'll just run the conversation or whatever else.
I get to be Bob Barker?
Bob Barker.
yes.
Come on down,
You're
Johnny.
you guys.
Hey, everybody.
I'll help you.
We are here at the Plant Sniffer Social. What is our subject today, gents and ladies? Crystal, how you feeling?
Oh,
Listen,
I'm feeling good.
today was a rough day.
Oh, Crystal.
I don't want to.
How was Mexico treating you?
It's treating me amazingly. I love it. I don't want to leave, so much so he's keeping me for another week.
So, are you seeing progress?
Yes. So, I've learned so much. But one thing I can tell you is that having Lyme is literally like having Satan live within you. My body responded horribly. So it's been like a roller coaster. You guys know that I didn't get in this shape overnight, and had it not been for me stumbling upon creators like you, for sure, Angie, like I watched you devotedly, and I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, I need to stop taking all the prescription meds. I got on with From Them Farms. I'm like, I really got to get off of this stuff. But getting tested and all of that has opened my eyes to so much. Listening to my naturopath, where he flat out told me, "You've had this your whole entire life." I'm turning 45 next week, and I will be turning 45 in Acuna, Mexico, getting my second SOT to help eradicate this from my body. So I don't know what this newfound love that I have for myself has been amazing, because the whole treatment process has been devoted to our well-being, our mental status, lots of spirit, lots of, I'm going to pray about that, laying hands, our provider, very devout in faith. So it's been life-changing. It really has. I sat, my mom sat in a magnetic chair today.
So
It was eye-opening.
can I ask you this? Staying another week, is this a result of the last 4 weeks being beneficial? Or is it a
So
result of they're not sure, so they want to do another week?
my first week, I responded horribly. I was puking. I couldn't handle, like, I couldn't handle DMSO. And I can't handle other things that other people can, because my body's been like wicked. So I was treated originally for MCAS, right? We all know that's mast cell activation syndrome. Mine has never been, that's not it. I have had mast cell deregulation syndrome, which is bipolar opposite. So as we treated my body on the Western medicine side for overactive. So we basically annihilated it. So my system went down to ground
Wow,
zero.
good.
So now I'm on the incline. But that first week, I stayed so sick that I was puking up everything that came out. The second week, I got better. Third week, I posted the videos. You guys saw my lips so much, my hives, all of it. So I had a response because we were touching it. And you know, if you touch it, that's poking the bear, right? That's what we say. So it just made it more angry. So he's been on top of me with hydration. Yes, it is all in your gut, but once it leaks out, I'm replying to this user, but it's leaky gut. We all know that. I mean, that's, if you don't know, it is a lot of our issues become worse because of leaky gut. So I have been working on healing that lining, lots of bone broth, lots of other things. And we're seeing progress now. So he's like, we'll put the SOT in on, the first SOT goes in Friday, this Friday. So he wants to
You're
keep
in my
me
prayers.
down here and watch.
Well,
Yeah,
keep
he
us
wants to
on-
watch me for the week.
Well, keep us on your journey with you. I've been enjoying watching and saying
My
prayers.
parents are hilarious. Now my dad's like the comedian, so I'm like, take over, you can start talking now.
So your dad's with you guys. I didn't know that. I just thought it was you and your
My
mom.
dad has, so my dad doesn't have Lyme, but he has cancers on his head. And he has 70% blockage in his widowmaker.
Oh.
So he has been receiving treatment this week to blast through.
Wonderful. Well, when you guys have time, you'll have to give us updates on them also.
Yes. Iodine 5%. I can't say enough about Lugo's iodine 5%.
Good information. Hi, Freebird. Benny, good to see
Hey,
you.
Freebird.
Well, Crystal, I'm really.
Anyway, so yeah, it's been great.
Them Farms, I'm sorry. I just kind of took over your live, man. Don't give it to Bob Barker. Do not give it to Bob Barker.
Me too.
That's fine. Hey, user, if you want to jump up here, you can. We have
That's Benny.
Dutch
Benny's from
here and
Australia.
several
I've been
herbalists.
trying to get Benny up on a live for a year and a half,
Forever and
2
ever.
years now, and Benny will not get up on a live. He has friends that are Aborigines that have wonderful herbal medicine that I want to learn about, and Benny has so much knowledge of it, and Benny won't get up on live and share it with us. So, but that's Benny. Oh, Benny.
That's awesome.
He just kind of follows us around.
Not nice, Benny.
They learn so much. Like I was one of those like I followed and I stayed in the shadows, but the whole time I was like a sponge.
I love Benny. I just wish Benny would get up and share. What's the name of that tree, Benny, that you have out in your front yard?
He needs to share. He needs to share. It seems like he has a lot of knowledge.
He does. And I can't. It starts with a Y, I think.
And he doesn't have to show his face if he doesn't want to.
Gumby tree. That's what it was. Gumby tree.
Gumby tree.
I want the Gumby tree from what he's told me about it.
Me too. Just to say I have a Gumby tree.
Right?
Can you grow it anywhere?
Justin!
I don't know. I want him to send me one. He has one in the front yard.
That's awesome.
We should all do more research on the Gumby tree.
We're going to send that to Tracy. Tracy, that's your takeaway from today's meeting.
That's awesome. You just put...
Tracy's looking up going, what?
I'm just reading the comments. I know better than to start talking.
Yeah.
You're so welcome. Gumby.
Tracy, you need to look up the Gummy tree so we can...
I want the Gumby tree. Benny, I will send you
know
my address. We will get this thing going over here in the United States. I've been telling you this for like a year, and you don't.
I haven't heard a lot about Australian herbs. There's not a real big science consensus on that, right? Because the Aborigines, they keep all that stuff to themselves. Well, they don't necessarily keep it to themselves, but the allopathic people think that they're so much better than the Aborigines, right? That they're not going to listen to what they have to say.
Here's the thing: Benny is friends with Aborigines. He's very knowledgeable.
Oh no, what I mean is that type of information won't make it mainstream science because it'd be counterintuitive if you're a pharmaceutical company. You don't want that kind of information getting out. So, I could probably dig up some of those studies, but a lot of those would be European, most likely.
I would just like to I would like to get my fingers on some of that Gumby tree.
Yeah.
And as he says, it's indigenous to our beautiful the Arabian, you know that word, people. They've used it for years. That's wonderful. I want it, Benny. Anna, you got to get Benny's address for me, and I will send him a pre-postage envelope. Aboriginal. There we go. And I will get you a pre-postage envelope, Benny, and you can send me some goodies out of your front yard. They don't even have to be fresh. I don't expect them fresh, but dried. Air dried. Not in the sun. Not in a dehydrator either, please. All right, I'm shutting up.
Come on, dude. You gotta choke yourself.
There he is.
Hi, Knowledge. How are you?
What up, people?
What's up?
I'm still kind of getting set up over here. I just got done, taking my kids back, and so anyway, how's everybody doing this evening?
Groovy, man. Doing good.
What have we been getting into as far as like subject matter? I'm just entering the conversation, so.
Well, so far I've been pretending I'm Bob Barker. We've been talking about Crystal. She is in Mexico. Um, we can share that with her. We've been talking to one of my followers who is in Australia about the Gumby Gumby tree. And that's a real quick catch up.
Alrighty. Yeah, I know we were talking about some pretty cool and interesting stuff today with like moringa and all that. And then I know hormone health got brought up, and we were speaking quite a bit on that as well. And just, kind of how that's at the root of so many health issues that people deal with these days, especially with all the phytoestrogens that we're exposed to. And just, just with the overall, just, it's like the lack of nutrients. It's, a lot of people are D3 deficient. There's so many things that lead to, deficiency as far as like, successful, consistent hormone production in men and women. So, that's definitely something that I have found to be highly impactful as far as the health of, myself, my following, the like.
Smart. My hormones were addressed. I did a circadian rhythm test.
I know when I
Pretty
hit
interesting.
perimenopause, my hormonal imbalance really hit me and my family really hard. I am really, I wake up happy every day. I'm a happy person by nature. And when somebody like me has an outburst in Dollar General because of a towel, you know that there is a serious hormonal imbalance in your life. I mean, I was arguing with John because of towels, and to the point where I really embarrassed him, and he decided he's just walking out the store, and I'm driving down Park Avenue West, get in the car, and he's like, holy shit, what's wrong with her, psycho. Well, I end up making a tincture called Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde, because that's exactly what I was. And it's wonderful. It helps with all the things. But for my perspective, that was my biggest hormonal issue with the insomnia. And it starts out slow for women. First, it was the insomnia, and I just thought it was something weird. It didn't click that I couldn't sleep. It never dawned on me I was going through perimenopause. It was just, I just have insomnia. Okay, that's weird. And, but now as time progresses.
Well, that's actually, that's fairly common as women enter those stages. I mean, whether it be because of hormone imbalance, whether it be because, stress, anxiety, hot flashes, so many of those things impact women in that time. And so, there's like certain herbs and, a lot of women end up turning toward like progesterone cream, because progesterone cream is kind of like the easiest thing to use, to be honest with you.
Right.
Generally sourced from wild yam.
I was a little too young in my eyes because I was only in my early 40s. I was living in San Antonio. Yeah, my job was stressful, but not
definitely too young to have those type of.
Yeah, so I associated it,
But still, that's
going on.
Women can still enter into like osteopenia and those type of things as early as their mid 40s, and so I mean you were kind of getting pretty close.
Right.
That you could develop the things. At least you had the wake up call and you were able to do something.
Right. So, there are so many things, the cortisol levels getting up, the anxiety, the flight and fight mode being 100% all the time, having to figure out, what can I combine together to have nature's attitude, I didn't want something I needed to be on every day. I wanted something I could take at that moment. I felt that major anxiety attack come on, that took it, squashed it, and I could go on with my day. Didn't put me to sleep, didn't knock me out. And, just nature's Ativan. And My relax and chill, I love it. It works for me. It may not work for everybody else, but that's good. It does work for me. But hormones are horrible, and that flight or fight mode, that, it going to a Cushing's disease. My dog has Cushing's disease, for goodness sakes. I mean, it affects our animals too.
Yeah. So it does kind of make me wonder, was there any dietary changes that you made that maybe you noticed a difference with as well?
There were dietary changes. Well, no, there were not dietary changes. There were weight changes due to menopause. But now I'm making those changes and now I'm seeing it better. But I made those changes way too late. But prior to that, no changes. Prior to that, no. Maybe I was drinking a little bit too much living in Texas. That Texas does that to you. Because Texas, Texas is fun.
Yeah,
Texas,
it's part of the culture. I
yeah,
know, so growing up,
they,
being from Texas, I know like I was served drinks at a young age, in establishments. And, a lot of the reason why is that like the rules are different there. If your parents are okay with it, it's whatever,
we had a
you
wine
know,
man that
and
would come to our office every Friday. The wine guy. I'll never forget when I first moved down there and I'm sitting, it was a Wednesday or something, just a work day, and somebody was walking out and I'm like, did he just have a beer bottle of Lone Star beer? I'm like, holy shit, he's walking through the office with a Lone Star. I mean, but don't get me wrong, if you get picked up for a DUI, they don't play. They enjoy their good times, but they don't approve of messing around. Anyway, I'm hogging up all the herbal talk. Sorry about that, guys. I'll be right back.
no, it's great talking with you. How's everybody else doing? Where's science? How you doing this evening, sir? Oh, he might be busy with something.
Did they all leave us?
Messing with the cats.
Relatable.
I'm back.
No, I'm not doing too bad tonight. Summer already, thankfully. So a lot of good.
Yes.
See, a lot of people are having issues with allergies right now. So, and I think most of the issue is they don't necessarily know where the pollen is coming from or what they're allergic to. They just know they're allergic to something, and I don't know. It can be a little bit difficult for some people to determine exactly what's making them having their issues.
I've noticed that though. There's an uptick in like respiratory infections as well associated with that.
Right. Actually, I noticed there's a lot of people that are like around work and stuff that are coughing a lot. You see a lot. You're right, a lot of congestion. I don't know whether though. Kind of makes me wonder: is it always in their lungs, or is it uh, potentially coming from their sinuses? I know that with my issue, it's usually sinus related. I mean, I cough a lot, but that's because it's draining, right? It comes out the back of your throat, and it's a little hard to be productive unless I start doing sinus stuff, right? Because you can't take Mullen if you have a sinus congestion. It's not necessarily going to be beneficial. So,
I mean, it'll help like kind of like break up some of the mucus, especially if like you inhale some of the fumes from it and everything. I mean, but
right.
it does kind of help a little bit over the body as you absorb it. But I generally agree with you on that. Mullein probably isn't the best thing to go with. Um, I've had a lot of really good success with artemisinin during, anytime it's like cold, flu, any of that. And that was actually, my traditional go-to when I first started doing all this. They fight that content so hard on this app. I mean, because,
Oh yeah.
wormwood like has certain compounds that really make a huge difference for a lot of people. Sesquiterpene lactones that really help when it comes to fighting different types of infection, breaking up mucus, and it's something that kind of like residually circulates throughout the body. Same with the quercenoids that are in it. And there's similar plants that have similar compounds. We talked about this last time. I think like with dandelion and everything. But that's really been a top go-to for me. Black seed oil. But N-acetylcysteine, milk thistle, liposomal glutathione, vitamin
Oh,
C. large doses of vitamin C. Like, you can take vitamin C in kind of a little bit more serving sizes than a lot of people realize. The toxicological profile of vitamin C and ascorbic acid is really, it's crazy safe. Like, you'd be surprised. But it doesn't mean you have to take like gobs and gobs of it. Just like 3 to 5 grams daily should help. Most people. It sounds like a lot, but it'll do the trick. It's crazy.
Right. Well, everything in moderation. I mean, you really can't. There's a lot of herbs you can do, very safely. You can drink lots of amounts, but I'm never a huge fan of drinking big amounts of anything, regardless of what it is. Um, that herb herb blends are kind of similar too. When people go to the store and buy their herb tea blends, they're not necessarily thinking about what they're drinking, right? Because you get some of those herbs that are in those tea blends, and if they're taking certain medications, there's going to be some counterindications, potentially, anyway. And
I generally agree with all that. No, and I'm not big on like taking like mega dosing everything, but for things that it's like has a really good explaining toxicological profile, like what it actually what am I referring to when I say that? It's like the how safe it is in certain serving sizes, and what they found was that vitamin C actually really is safe in large serving sizes. Now you can get it from food though. And so that's something that's, it's like sourcing more of your vitamin C from like food sources and everything, getting more of that in your diet can be highly beneficial. But this is actually, not only is this, imperative for women, this is actually imperative information for men, because women retain vitamin C better than men do. And so, we actually, we excrete it in our semen anyway. So like we have more of a problem with retaining it than women do. Women just retain it better naturally. And so getting more of it in our diet really does help with a lot of these situations. It has antioxidants, helps when it comes to fighting different types of microbes as well. There's, clinical information on that. But yeah, no, I mean, it's good to be able to do the herbal teas. I like the herbal teas. Had really good success with, quite a few of those. I mean, as far as like contributing and helping. For a lot of people that are kind of, in their, as we get older and everything, like it gets a little bit more difficult to absorb things, and or for people who have like, nutritional like malabsorption and things like that, the teas probably won't really do everything for you that you would like, but, you can do that in combination with other things, and I think it'll make a big difference. I think the other thing to take into consideration when it comes to allergies is that, we're talking about allergens, meaning, in some form it's a toxin in the body. So boosting liver activity. That's why we go with like the milk thistle and NAC and liposomal glutathione, things like that as well, because like boosting liver activity really does make a huge difference as far as like running these toxins back out of the body. And then that way your body's not having that reaction so much.
right, that's one of the first things that I do when I go to like restart the body. You got to start with a detox first, and it's not necessarily just okay. Here's my take on this. You see a lot of people that have these detox programs that take like 3 weeks. They say, it's going to take 3 weeks to do this, and and it's going to give you diarrhea, and you're going to, and it's like, well, that seems so counterproductive, right? If I'm spending 3 weeks with diarrhea, I'm not only making myself dehydrated, I'm potentially getting rid of a lot of nutrients that I need, because even though I'm detoxing, I still have to have my nutrition, right? So you got to kind of play it smart. I put together a detox blend that makes the body do it. So it helps clean the lymph nodes. It helps make the liver do what it's supposed to do. So there's milk thistle and kudzu root. You have dandelion. There's some chaparral in there. Even though, I mean, it's on the small amount, right? Because chaparral is a pretty potent herb. Um, but I kind of force the body to do what it's supposed to do naturally, which is detox, right? And then I have other tinctures. So I have one that's for metal cleanse. So that one's to pull heavy metals and other toxins out of your bodies, and it's a different type of detox. But and then a parasite one, right? So you do your detox, you get rid of your metals, you get your parasites, then you can get started on actually starting to make your body function, right? The next thing I fix after that would be digestion, and then you go to your diet, right? And everybody's going to have a different diet, because you have everybody's going to metabolize it differently, right? So Some person can do the carnivore diet and it'll work well for his metabolism or his DNA, whereas somebody else will come along and do a keto. That's going to work better for them because their metabolism's different, right? Everybody has a different chemistry. So there's no, I don't think I've found through the research I've done anyway, I haven't found a single diet that's a one diet fits all, right? Because there's always going to be somebody that particular diet doesn't work for. and
Exactly.
what's that?
Exactly.
Exactly. One man's food is another man's poison.
Right.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
one thing that I feel a lot of us herbalists, I mean, without a doubt, we all agree that the gut is our second brain. We know that.
Yep.
Right.
And we know that what we put into our body is going to affect how our body works. But one thing that we don't discuss enough, I feel, is autophagy and how autophagy in the long run does help our body heal. Autophagy is when our good cells we're depleting those good cells so that they are actually eating up those bad cells. That is basically a natural reset right there. I mean, if you really think about it in those terms, it's good for you. And to get your body in that autophagy state is wonderful. And if you can do that, it's beneficial. Of course, a lot of people can't do that. But if you can, that is a very natural, good thing for your body.
And if you're going to detox, there's something real quick. I hate to throw this out there, but I've been thinking about this for quite a while. Not enough people know it. If you're going to start a detox, activated charcoal is okay, except it only works in the moment. What I mean by that is it pretty much stays in your gut, right? These are they're heavy molecules that are going through, and they're not going to necessarily make it to your bloodstream as you're taking it. So the studies have shown that activated charcoal really only works like not too long after your initial exposure. So you have people that are going to do specific kinds of like a metal detox, to kind of do some chelation or parasite, and they say you need the activated charcoal as a binder, but the activated charcoal is only going to be in your gut. It doesn't get into your bloodstream, right? Because that could cause real problems if it started getting in your bloodstream. So you have to find a way. There are other herbs or other compounds that you can take or other natural substances that you can take that do get into your bloodstream that can help bind to all those types of things. But just taking lots of charcoal isn't necessarily going to be the go-to. Bentonite clay, diatomaceous earth, whatever those powders you're using.
Chlorella. Yeah.
Right, they're only going to stay in your gut. So, I mean, it's kind of important to note that. So, it works immediately after an exposure, but if you're trying to do it over a long term detox, it doesn't work that way. And, I see comments in these videos, detox videos, and everybody's like, you need your activated charcoal, you need your activated charcoal. And I'm like, not really. You really don't. I mean, it's helpful to a point, but I mean, if it's only staying in your gut, it's not as beneficial as it could be, or as it's purported to be with other people.
Yeah.
I generally agree with all that actually, and
Yeah.
it's something that I've talked about when it comes to parasite cleanses, and I've even talked about the fact that even some of the cleanses that include like cinnamon cassia, um, we're talking about yeah, cinnamon cassia as opposed to cinnamon ceylonicum. We're talking about two completely different forms of cinnamon. We're talking about a complete different run of compounds, a complete different contribution to the body. Also, a lot of cinnamon cassia is not sourced very well. You really got to be careful
Right.
about how you source it. They've been caught. How many times with toxic metals and stuff like that in the cinnamon cassia? It's crazy. Go look it up. I mean, it's insane how many times they've been caught with that. And so, all of those things, all those factors taken into consideration as well. I do like milk thistle as a binder as well. I think in general, like, liver cleansers and stuff like that, because you're right. It's going to, work in the bloodstream. It's going to go through more of the organ systems. And then what's our primary, filter for the body? The liver. So when we boost that activity and everything, that's actually really what's going to have that, heavy contributive effect as far as fighting the oxidative stress associated with, the die-off symptoms and everything, but also to reducing the amount of the compounds in the body so that the body has a much a better chance of recovery more quickly, and you have less symptoms associated with the the cleanse. And especially for people who are MTHFR and sensitive and things like that, that's a pretty big thing to do. That's very important.
Yep.
Hey, while I'm here, I'm going to thank everyone for coming and showing up and getting together like this and doing this. Great thing that we're doing, in my opinion. So,
Oh,
going pretty well.
real quick to ask. Open Dies asked what is a good binder to take for detox. I'm a fan of blends, but I'll throw one out there that I like. I like spirulina as a binder because it's known to bind to heavy metals. It's known to bind to other types of toxins in the body. It'll bind to fluoride, which is really hard to get out of your body. That's one that can be really difficult. I know I laugh, but it's just the absurdity of the kind of stuff they do to us. It's just I'm not laughing. I don't know. The whole premise of all of that. It's not because I think it's funny. It just the absurdity of the kinds of things that we have to go through just to be healthy. It's kind of depressing. So I guess I laugh just so I'm not crying. But yeah, I like spirulina as a binder.
You know, moringa detoxes your body as well. Naturally.
I'm just counting that. No.
Does the Moringa man want to talk about Moringa?
I was waiting.
I'm out.
Well, look at that. The seeds and the.
We're anxiously waiting, sir.
When the other kind of domino, that would have got him in work.
Hey, Laura.
What up, Forge Around?
Poor Laura.
Hold on.
Yes.
What's that name of that creator that I invited earlier?
Oh,
Peter Pan looking guy.
the Mineral King?
He said he was the Mineral King. Send him another invite. I couldn't find him on.
Okay.
He was looking to come in. I'm always trying to add to our group here.
Yeah. I was wondering why he wasn't here
Other
already.
like-minded individuals. Yeah,
Vinny
he's
says,
maybe got the times mixed up.
Vinny says 97% pure zeolite micronized powder is the best binder. Thoughts, friends?
Wait, what was that? Say that again?
Interesting.
What was?
It's in the chat. 97% pure
Is it in the
zeolite
com-
micronized powder.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Zeolite.
I have heard that a lot. Anyone else ever had messed around with that, played around with it?
I haven't
experienced
taken
with it?
zeolite. No, I can't speak on that. I see a lot of people doing detoxes with it though. Yeah, I don't know. I've never taken it. And I don't read it usually either.
I know it combines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Roots did
There's a
some.
great video.
Roots and I text, and she talked about the zeolite, and it's a no from her.
Are we starting with 6 or are we starting whatever?
That I can stand on. We had that conversation in a private text because she did a little bit further research into it. But they use cilantro in Mexico. That's a big one.
Cilantro is a good one.
Yeah, you want to take a binder with cilantro though.
Yeah, cilantro's
Well, it acts as a binder too, though.
So I'm in.
It'll bind to heavy metals as well.
Yeah,
It does
I'm
lead
in a
and mercury.
wellness clinic. I'm taking
I would take
I'm taking
cilantro
treatments
and
in a wellness clinic in Acuna.
It just makes everything taste like spaghetti.
Like to me, everything tastes like chlorine. So
That's awful.
There's chlorine in the water,
Right.
like in the tap water.
well, so I'm taking ASEA, and ASEA tastes like chlorine while it's getting into your cells. So everything I eat has this like chlorine kind of taste to it after I eat it. After I take the ASEA.
That sucks. So fun.
Has anybody else been getting any community
bad.
guidelines
I mean-
violations? Oh, go ahead.
That's my fault, y'all. My bad. I'm shameful.
Every other video that
It's
I put up is I put up a yarrow video, and yarrow was in a jar. Like,
I just figure when y'all see me disappear, we all know what
and
I'm
I
doing.
got a community guideline. They wouldn't even let the video post because they said it was firearms, alcohol, and drugs for yarrow. And it had yarrow across the entire video.
yeah.
Right,
I'm liking the
right.
chat. You know, the water filtration. If you can do reverse os.
Reverse osmosis. Yeah.
Reverse osmosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From them farms, is the Mineral King gonna be on Saturday? Is he supposed to be on this Saturday?
Um, he hasn't said he was gonna. He asked what day. I said I'd like him for both,
Okay.
but I had another herbalist too that I was talking to. Sometimes our communication, sometimes the schedules don't work out right, so, but which is understandable. Um, Sometimes we can agree upon something and then an issue or something comes up. But we'll have something. I seen him on earlier today, and I talked to him. And yeah, you were there. Coming in. Like I said, I try to expand on this community as always, with other like-minded people, and um, very knowledgeable. It's a very neat product that he's worked on there. Something he has created that it's has all 102 minerals in it. So, I think me and Knowledge was talking about it. I was telling him about it earlier.
Yeah, he's the Mineral
He was
King. You
saying
guys
like a lot of these companies.
Is
yeah,
that the
go check him out
optimized
and
minerals?
watch his videos.
Is that the optimized minerals package?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the ingredients on, which he doesn't put the ingredients on his TikTok stuff, which I don't like. But
Yeah, he should do that.
yeah, he should do that.
Well,
Going
there are
around.
definitely some good foods that you can get into your life to help with, getting more nutrients in your diet and well sourced foods. That's another thing we were talking about earlier was, I mean, yeah, obviously outside of just trying to source organic or anything, seeing if you can source local, coordinating with, farmers, growers, gardeners, the like, that's really a good way to do it as far as like trying to, get those nutrients in your diet. I know that the farmers market is a great place to start. I've met farmers everywhere where I live. I mean, it really ain't that hard to find them.
It's
And some of them, especially if they, some of them are more knowledgeable on what's going on with the food than you would realize. Much more knowledgeable. Like when you go to talk with them about it, they're gonna understand. A lot of them grow their own food separately from anything else that's corporate grown on their land. So, but make sure they do that. Make sure they grow it separately. They do things differently. Make sure they're that type. But a lot of them naturally are because they understand, what's going on with the corporate farming and what's going on with the food and all. So now, as far as old school farming techniques, and I love, what EJ brings up with when it comes to this, that like, um, you know, the farming with copper. I've always believed in soil conditioning, and I've preached that because I don't really see a lot of creators talking about that when it comes to gardening and farming. It's just kind of like just putting it in there, and let's add spray and spray this and add some that, and our stuff will grow, and maybe it does sometimes, but especially for newcomers, they may not know how to handle the infections that are common to soil and common to the plants when they are young, in their young stages of life. And so it's good to not only be, good when it comes to soil conditioning and everything, but also, manageable, you know, uh, alternatives to chemicals in the garden that say like, you need like some
Chemicals in the
type of
garden.
antifungal, or you need something that, for pests, there are essential oils and there are natural compounds that we can use to contribute here, and we don't rely on chemicals.
So regarding the minerals, for those in the chat in here in the box, I know as far as a full panel, if you're looking just for 3 simple herbs together, now if you were to make this in a tea, it's going to taste like crap. Irish sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root is going to give you the full 102. But imagine that tea it's going to taste like crap.
I'd rather put those. I'd rather put that into capsules than do that as a capsule form. That'd be the easiest way to do that.
Yeah.
Or make an extract out of it. Turn it into an
I
extract.
make an extract out of it, but I mean, together they work wonderfully. But I couldn't imagine a tea. I once saw like sea moss in a tea, and I'm like, oh my god, that'd be horrible.
That sounds as bad as valerian tea.
Valerian does not taste good. I want to throw
Right.
this out there. You can get capsules either like at your natural health store or online. They're pretty easy to obtain
Right.
Yeah.
for new people.
They're pretty easy to make yourself. You can get a capsule machine that does 24 capsules on Amazon for about $12. And then, I mean, if you're just doing it for yourself, it's 24 at a time. It's almost a month's supply. Didn't make sense to me. Why don't you do the whole full 30? But
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
But they'll make your own 24 now. If you wanna, I'm getting ready to buy my next capsule machine. It makes 400 at a time, but those are a little cost prohibitive. Those are upwards of like $400 to get one like that.
I just
But
read an article about larger capsule machines that the government is trying to put a ban on those.
right, you got to get them now before you won't be able to get
Yes, I
them.
was just going to say that. Yeah, get it soon.
Because they have 2 different kinds you can get. There's the one that does 400 capsules, and then there's one that does 800. And I mean, if you're making them in bulk, if you're making them for your business, doing 24 at a time is not feasible. So you're going to have to get a bigger machine, and those cost. There's a place it's called CapsuleSupplies.com, and they have all your stuff that you need. And then when you go to get your replacement capsules, you just go to Amazon, pick those up. They're relatively cheap. You can get 10,000 of them for like $50. So
Yeah, capsules don't cost nothing.
right, and it's just more. It's more in your time in making them, because once you have your capsule machine, depending on the kind of capsules you're making, if you're making what I call a dry powder, you can probably get 2 or 3 batches before you have to clean your machine. But if you're doing something like beets or garlic is real sticky, any of those types of herbs, they'll stick to your machine, and then you got to clean it, and you can't dry it in like 5 minutes because you got 400 little holes that you have to wait for them to air dry. Because if you get one of those capsules in the machine wet, it's going to take forever.
I imagine. Yeah. I mean, imagine just chopping up garlic, how your hands get sticky. I imagine that.
Exactly, yeah.
I never messed around.
Activated charcoal is a one batch and done. You just do one batch, and then you got to wash your machine because it's so gritty and granular that once you've made your capsules for it, you have to wash your machine in order just to be able to get the capsules back in to get them filled again. But I'm getting ready to do a video on how to make your own capsules actually here pretty quick.
Yeah,
I definitely want to see that.
I've never messed around with that before. And mostly, we're talking about capsule machines.
Yeah, speaking on that, I got a question. Is there anything, because I know that there's that's why they use excipients like, silicone dioxide, mag stearate, and stuff like that.
Right.
Is there anything natural and tolerable that like a good alternative? I mean, I've seen that a lot of companies have turned more toward rice powder rather than the silicone dioxide and the mag stearate. But even that, I mean, it would be nice to have something a little bit better. Do you
All
have any
right.
ideas on that since you mess with this? I'm just curious.
I've been making capsules for 10 years, right? And doing the 400 capsule per. And I haven't found anything short of just cleaning the machine because once you get grit in there, because those powders are like really fine and gritty, um, they'll interfere with how your capsules will interlock. Because when you go to press them down to get them to seal, once you start getting powders in there, it'll affect the way, and then you'll get like 20 or 30 of your capsules out of 400. That's what, 5%, a 5% fail rate on your capsules because they won't align right, the powders in it. I just found just clean your machine. Buy two machines, right? Clean one and then wait for it to dry while you're making yours with the other. And that's about the best way. I'm not a huge fan of adding anything to my machines like that because now you have to add that to the ingredients list too, and I don't know. I've just never been a huge fan of using any type of lubricant. You're right. The magnesium stearate and all that other stuff is in there. It's like, they say it's safe, but they say a lot of things are safe that isn't necessarily safe. So
Okay, so this is my thing with it. All right, generally it is safe in like small serving sizes, like according to what I've been able to find, like scientifically. However, it's in so many different products.
right,
You don't
and
know exactly how much you're really getting.
and
And
then
it's like it's in a lot of food products, and so it's like it depends on how people are eating out here. If you're eating a diet that is low in that stuff anyway, and you're regularly boosting liver activity, things like that, mag stearate and stuff like that probably ain't that much to worry about. But it would be nice. I prefer excipient free. I prefer going the whole way clean, and that's I like your attitude toward it. It's just worth it just to do the extra work and to not add something that you're not really going to be proud of when it comes to your product. It's like, yeah, it's got it in there, but it's like now you got to explain all that shit.
right,
And like
right.
I like what you do there. That's cool.
It gets frustrating, and because I wish, trust me, man, I have cleaned those machines so many times. I wish there was an easier way. I wish there was an easier way to do it, but I just haven't found it. I've seen with those machines that they'll add a powder. They're like the big machines are like 30 grand, and I never had enough volume to justify a $30,000 expense. But especially considering when I was doing it with my ex-wife, we probably had 15 different types of capsules I was making, and you have to clean that big ass machine just to change over for a different capsule. That it's just kind of tedious. So yeah, it just made more sense just to clean it up, and
I'm on the
I'm kind
line.
of old fashioned that way, I guess.
I
I was
like
going to
it.
ask you about structured water. We were talking about water earlier, and I was wondering if you heard anything about structured water and read any of the science on that?
Structured water.
Okay, so there's a Japanese scientist who did some research, and he found that you can add sound to water or run water through specific ways, like running it through glass marbles or whatever, and make sure you get a funnel. But it'll restructure the molecular structure of the water itself. And he said that he was able to determine that if it was like holy water and somebody had prayed over it, he said he was able to determine by freezing the molecules and looking at them when they're frozen, um,
Hmm.
whether or not it was holy water, and then that the molecular structure of the water actually changed when you structured it. And there's lots of different ways to go about structuring. I just wondered if you'd heard anything about that.
100%. Yeah, and I believe in that. And so yeah, they did this with like music. They did this with phrases, historical figure names. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, to test this, and um, they made water hover. They like started. They actually hover. They can levitate small objects with sound based on that research. That is such cool stuff, man. I know it was probably for a good maybe like year or two. I was like obsessed with that.
Right. It is
I watched
fascinating.
videos on it. I read on it, like because it's an amazing. No, a lot of people don't know about it, but it's amazing technology that if well harnessed, we're talking about a completely different future for us.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about you can easily reach your roof in seconds and no problem. With technology that is right there, easily right under your feet. We're talking about possible flying cars, possible, being able to reach destinations, quicker, air traffic being more of a common person's problem than, your pilot's problem. And so it's
Right.
like, like an entire different universe basically. And this type of technology is generally suppressed, and it'd be cool if they would kind of amplify it a little bit more. It's been years since they did that research, and I haven't really seen anything major come from it. So this is something that is, that is fantastic and definitely should be, come more to be studied. Also, vibrational medicine in this realm is fantastic. Authentic rife technology.
Oh yeah, right, right.
I'm talking about old school. I'm not talking about all the stuff that people make today. There's not like a legitimate rife today at all.
I agree with that. I agree
Right.
with that. He from what I read, he had 12 machines across the country. There were 12 doctors that were using his machines across the country. And the minute that guy died, they took his stuff, right? They did the same thing to him they did to Tesla. They took all of his stuff, and then over time, it was what was his name? Fish. It was the guy that was running the AMA at the time.
Oh,
Fishberg.
it's been a little
Fishberg.
while since I read up on that, so you might know those names better than me.
Well, it was the guy that was running the AMA. He wasn't even a doctor, right? He'd never treated anybody. He failed out of med school, but he was the one that was. I guess he was real big in with pharma back then, and he was shutting everybody down because even Tesla had some healing stuff he was working on, the 369 healing model. And most people aren't aware of that either. They know about his Tesla coil and all the other stuff, but they didn't understand that he'd actually worked on specific healing things as well. I mean, things that work for the body. I don't know if him and Rife ever got together, but I can only imagine what they would have been able to accomplish if they had. Because Tesla was about the 369. The 369, if it's divisible by 3, it's generally good for you. Is typically how that went with him. I don't have a lot of knowledge on it because it's hard to find a lot of really good stuff on Tesla anymore because a lot of that stuff was taken right after he died. But
We're essentially reading the theories that are based off very small portions of his work. It's
right.
nothing. I mean, a lot of it is very little to go off of. You're pioneering. I mean, and like I said, I do believe in it to that degree. I also believe in, ozone therapy, um, you know, oxygen therapy, things like that. Also, it's like, I was speaking on vitamin C earlier. They actually have intravenous ascorbic acid that they utilize in clinical settings these days that is phenomenal for people and is much more bioavailable to the body. You can actually use it in much larger serving sizes
Right.
than what can be, tolerated, bowel wise, because there is a bowel tolerance issue associated with pharmacological doses of or serving sizes of vitamin C, ascorbic acid. What
That's
up, Bruce? How you doing today?
about 8,000 units you can give them.
Yeah, well, 8 to 10 grams. Yeah, I mean, 8 grams is really, we don't like going above 8 grams, Bruce. I'm with you on that. I've taken,
Doctor does talk.
I've taken larger ones, but it's generally safe for most people. Now, if you got, kidney issues or things like that, have a discussion, with whoever you trust
Hey,
on that. Yeah,
perfect, man. Perfect.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I honed in on those new technologies, man. That's really good stuff coming up.
Which ones are you referring to specifically, Bruce?
The med beds, vibrational therapy, quote unquote,
Yeah, I've
because
looked at several. Go on.
we are. Go ahead. We're our light beings, and we vibrate. So that makes pretty good sense. Pure vibration, good vibration.
We lost your audio knowledge. We lost your audio.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That's actually on my end. But no, like I actually agree with Bruce on this that, we're in a vibrational universe, and in a lot of ways we're vibrational beings. Everything has a vibrational signature. Sick people have a vibrational signature. Same with functioning organ systems, same with sick organ systems. Same with different types of conditions. They've found similar frequencies associated with emotions and with certain actions, being hugged, being, touched, witnessing a like a sunrise sunset type thing. Like there's so many different things that impact the body. Color therapy, all these things are relevant to life, and you can actually use, knowing this information, you can apply it practically in your life in so many different ways.
Here's something simple that worked for me that was really really interesting. Um, I can get by on about 5 hours sleep and function normally, right, throughout the day, as long as my head is facing south. If my head is facing to the south, because and I read about it, right, and according to what I've read, we all know we produce an electromagnetic field, right, and it kind of looks like an apple around us. The heart does, goes out about 6 feet, right. It's pretty powerful. It's a very powerful magnetic field. Um, and then the Earth does too. So if your magnetic field is in the same alignment as the Earth's, you tend to, and because if I sleep like to the north, I don't sleep for shit, and I wake up tired, right? But if I sleep to the south, I'll do 5 hours sleep. I'll sleep solid, and then I wake up not tired, but only if my head's facing. It kind of sounds weird, but only if my head is facing south. Like I'm kind of wondering if it isn't similar to like grounding, and being more connected to that, because if we're all just energy, you get around certain people that just kind of give you a weird vibe, right? You don't necessarily gel with them or whatever. They didn't do anything. They don't look weird or anything like that, but just being around them just kind of makes you itch. I'm sure everybody's experienced that at some point. I think that's just because our energies don't match. I mean, I've been around a few people like that. That doesn't happen very often, but you come across somebody just I don't know. I say it makes my soul itch just being around them. I just don't know. There's something about them that just irritates me.
I can speak on that. It's like so quick. I feel it too. That like right when I get around them, and it's like I already know it. It's like it's so fast that I'm like, oh shit, man. But they seem like a nice person, and other people like them, and it's like, nope.
Yep.
Like my soul and my heart like won't let it happen. It's like, no, I don't trust this. I'm not gonna do it. I already know this is gonna turn out to be a bad situation. I gotta get out of it. I gotta cut it. However, exit.
I felt that way about my ex-husband.
I wish I'd have felt that way about my ex-wife.
We're all born with that little intuition inside of us.
And I don't think it
That
always
way about
necessarily
him,
makes that
Barb.
person like a bad person or anything. It just might be that they have like shit, there's something going on with their energy right now. Maybe they're going through something. You might have a totally different signature from that person the next time you get around them. But I know in those moments and in that time, I got to get myself out of that situation.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen very often, but just every now and I think it's just that I think it's potentially just my energy doesn't necessarily work well with their energy, and we're kind of throwing each other off. If we go through the hypothesis that we're all throwing out an electromagnetic field, right? It's kind of bound, and it's all going to have everybody's going to have their own different vibrations and different frequency, right? We're all going to be a little bit different.
Everyone's vibration is different, so
Right. So
yeah.
we otherwise we just all be a bunch of clones walking around.
Right?
So so clearly we're all a little bit different somehow, and I don't know. I just maybe some people you just can't be around like you said. You got to go. And
So somebody in the comments says, "Is that Vivaxin syndrome? The
I don't know.
face."
The south thing that you were talking about, sleeping.
Well, I don't know that it's a syndrome. I wouldn't. I just know that if I sleep to the south, if my head is to the south, I sleep better. I have a more restful sleep versus if I sleep in another direction. And I just found this out recently, because I've been kind of experimenting with my new house, with the bedroom and stuff, and maybe that could be feng shui too. But I've never been a big practitioner of feng shui. I know it has some sort of validity, right? And it does have, but I've never been a real. I'm a man. I live alone. I don't really care how it looks, but yeah, I just think if my head is to the south, I just sleep better. I go to sleep quickly, and I wake up rested. So it's just weird. Try it sometime, see what happens. Worst that'll happen is it won't work for you. And
I'll have to try it. But what works for you works, right?
right, everybody is different.
That's
Well,
right.
it's kind of strange that you say that. I mean, it might be that I'm like sleeping in my own bed too, but like I have a similar experience that like when I sleep on my couch, my head is facing east. When I sleep in my bed, my head is facing south. And I definitely get much better, more restful sleep, and I come out feeling much more on when I sleep in my bed. Even though I sleep really good on my couch, I really do. It's like deep, it's nice, it's good. I feel sleeping when I'm doing it, but it's like I might kind of have like a similar thing, but like I said, it might be the bed because like ain't nothing like being in your bed.
You're right.
Yeah. Yep.
One of these days I'm gonna. Hey Diana. One of these days I'm gonna have to be brave enough to try to sleep ground. I've done grounded sheets. We kind of cheated when we did it, um, but we did grounded sheets, and that was okay. That was pretty restful. But we kind of did our homemade version of them, and they were awful. As far as like, they didn't last very long. And you had to keep redoing them, and because we used that steel tape, that you get for like ductwork and stuff, but it's actually made out of steel, and we connected it to the ground wire in our home, and then we connected a wire to that steel tape. Well, the downside to that steel tape is you sleep on it all night, you move back and forth, and then over time it just kind of breaks apart and cuts your legs. So it's not necessarily the safest method to go about doing that. But I noticed that when we did do it, it was pretty. I mean, it was a lot very very restful too by sleeping grounded like that. But I have to find probably either just break down and buy the stupid sheets. You can get them online for like $100. Um,
Well, I like how you work to innovate things. That's I appreciate that mindset, that pioneer mindset. I'm into that.
Well, we didn't want to spend $100 on the sheets if it didn't work, right? So we decided, so what's the best way we could do it? So we got into the toolbox, and that's what we found. And because we tried just doing like a cable wire across the bottom of the bed, so it'd be like across our feet. But the downside to that was you were sleeping with a heavy wire that was pushing on the bottom of your legs, no matter which way you were laying, right? And it got painful. So you might have been grounded, but you were in a lot of pain as you were trying to sleep. So it wasn't very restful because you were in pain all night. So eventually, at some point, I'll just break down and buy the stupid sheets, and then I'll let you know how it works. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. Like, I mean, I have friends that
Mats or
sell them and
whatever
all
you
that.
what's that?
there. Copper, like if you connect wood and boards and connect it to have the same effect, or having a crystal with copper, making like a pyramid type. What about that? You, someone's like, I don't know. There's a guy on here who has a lot of different things. Because I myself are in a lot of electroculture communities. But there's so many different things out there. Um, and you were talking about the seats. They have mats and stuff like that, or they're smaller that you just place under you, under your regular bed or whatever. I know a guy that kind of like what you were talking about. He hooked up to his bed, but it was a mat. But he laid on top of it, and he hooked it up to a ground outside or something like that. Was grounding that way. But the cheapest and best way is just go sleep on the ground outside. Just do it all the time when I go camping, and man, it's the best sleep I ever get.
Touch grass.
Right.
Nothing like touching grass.
Hey,
Yeah,
hearts,
I
everybody.
agree with the EMF neutralizing technology, though. Like, and anything that we can do in our homes to mitigate that as much as we can, because we do all live busy lives, it's good to do. I have something that I use, but it's not something that I share a lot with people because it's more like quantum, and it's like I believe in it, but it's like different. It's hard to explain. But like I believe in EMF neutralizing technology. There's quite a few things out there. If you ever heard of like there's like purple plate and all kinds of stuff. I got a friend on here, I think was it Nicole Holistic Wellness? I don't know. Anyway, I know she sells shit like that. And so, but yeah, like I just, I definitely believe in that though. And then also too, yeah, still getting plenty of like, um, minerals in your diet, copper, well, the right amount of copper in your diet, not necessarily plenty of copper because your body stores copper pretty well actually. You don't really want to be taking it in large serving sizes. It's not something, that you really, it's nice to get in, especially for people who've been taking large amounts of zinc. Um, because like zinc actually really does work against your copper stores in your body.
Ratios.
Correct, sir. Yeah. Well said, Bruce. So if we can, make sure we're doing that, that's another, some other things that are going to help as far as maintaining our, you know, um, electricity in our body and the way that energy runs.
Knowledge, do you think you can send me like some stuff on EMF protection?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I have a friend who that's like her thing. So like I'll kind of more like put you more toward her
Yeah,
and
because
you
I
can,
don't, there's so much information about that stuff out there that I don't know, where to start really. But I'd like to have something in my home.
it's a fascinating topic actually. And it's something that like with all the Wi-Fi, the devices, it's like we got electricity on us and around us all the time. We're always on our phones. We are electrical beings and we are taking on some of that. No, it's not massive like from your phone, but continuously over time in the same spot all the time, that could be a problem for some people, and it has.
Yeah.
There's clinicals and there's med pubs written on this as well, on this very subject and on EMF and all that. And I could refer you to that as well. Like I could send you some sources, Alma, like so you can kind of read the stuff for yourself because you're like me, you read that type of stuff and
I like to
everything. So
research things, yeah.
yeah, you'll
Could
enjoy that.
also, if you could also shoot me that same stuff, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a little while since like, cause that's like a old rabbit hole for me. That's something that I like, I went down like a while back. So it's kind of like refreshing, like freshening myself back up on it and everything. But I would love to get back into deep diving on that subject. And yeah, I'll share sources and see if I can drop a little bit of info too. Um, it's a good topic. It's a
Great.
good subject.
And important too, especially in today's day and age, for sure. And it's kind of funny though. That's kind of like the fringe science of natural healing. That the kind of stuff that we're talking about tonight. It's all fringe stuff. I mean, I think there's some well established science on it, but we're probably never going to see it. I mean, not really. I think there was a statistic that said all the positive and good studies, only about like 54% of positive studies will come out, and conversely, only about 19% of negative studies will come out. So we only get less than half of the information that's out there, to be fair.
Okay, let me be like fully straight up with you on the subject though. Up until probably about 2018, 2019 time frame, if you wanted to have access to medical publications, you had to pay for it. You had to order them. They had to
Right,
be mailed to you and or obtaining electronic copies and access to them. They were not just put on the internet for the public to have. That is recent, y'all.
right. You're
And
right.
in a lot of ways, the government started telling on themselves right about the same time that they started doing this bullshit.
Well, if
Like,
you
and so that was actually something I was saying during all that, that like, look, they're telling you they're doing this to you. You need to wake up.
right,
Like you, like they are releasing this information. There's so much
Yeah.
out
if
there.
you if you research on NIH now, I don't know. Have you ever done any research on NIH? I spend a lot of time on NIH. If
Oh
you've
yeah.
noticed, they've changed their search structure now,
Oh yeah.
and you can't just type an herb in there and expect to get any type of medical nothing. You can't. You have to go
And
You have to play
and
a
the
game
same thing with the
anymore.
nutritional stuff. Like
right.
there's RDIs. Now the RDIs, the general RDIs are still available. But the old RDIs that they used to have available, you could just click on it, you could just access it, and it would actually give like the size and weight ratios. They took those away.
Yep, they sure did.
I'm frustrated about that. Because I spent so much time referring to people to that website and saying, look, the government's even saying it. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Like you're coming at me like I'm not talking the science and everything, but the National Institute of Health, which is something that y'all were referring to during all this when you were telling people to do this and
Right,
these
right.
things and all that. Okay, the same website says we should be getting this in our body on a daily basis, every single American.
Now one of the, well, I mean, it's always been for me when I've done searches in the past. WebMD is one of the first ones to come up, and it didn't take me long to figure out that that's the one place you want to go if you want to know what not to do because they don't. I mean, they know the science. That's so frustrating because WebMD is ran by the AMA, right? And if you look at how all of our medicine started, because I have the book right over there. It's from 1899. It was the Medica Materia from 1899. So if you wanted to be a doctor or a pharmacist, you had to have that book, right? Because it listed everything. Those are all herbs in there. It's all natural stuff. So this crap that they have today is the alternative medicine, right? That's the alternative to what we originally had or what we started with. But they've changed it, back in the early 1900s is when they flipped that script and started calling the herbs the alternative medicine. It's like, well, you look in your even up until like 1912, they still had mainly herbs in the medical material.
So let me give it to you this way: they're still flipping it because 75% of pharmaceuticals are derived from plant and animal compounds.
They sure are.
They're still, it's the same stuff. Like as far as like drug research, that's why like people like us actually, and especially like people like me who I've been working in this industry for a while and everything, and like we, in a lot of ways, we're kind of gold mines to them. Because as far as pharma research and everything, they use natural medicine and work it backwards as far as drug research.
They always have.
They quit doing that now. Now here's what they're doing now. They got the whole patent thing. They're actually patenting herbs now. Like the number one anti-cancer drug in Germany is mistletoe extract. Mistletoe extract that you could make yourself, right, in your kitchen. But it's called crap. Now I forgot the name of it. Iscador, Iscador, and it's the number one anti-cancer drug in Germany. They use it as a standalone treatment. They use it as a conjunctive treatment with allopathic medicine, and it's literally, they have like 8 separate pharmaceutical drugs, but they're only just mistletoe extract. That's all they are. They're just various forms of mistletoe.
I mean, as far as I know, that's not allowed here. Like they don't patent they patent plant compounds as far as the extracts. They do that, like the BCM, 95 and stuff like that.
One doctor from Johns Hopkins that did do. There was one patient, and she did do some clinical trials, and she had positive results with mistletoe. And then they go down this. It has to be European mistletoe. It can't be, anything here in the United States. It has to be European, which is basically the same thing.
But if you look at the chemistry behind that's not accurate. The mistletoe that's here is just as valid as the mistletoe that's in Europe.
I wanted not to change the subject, but it's really not changing the subject. Did you guys see the studies that came out today about from 2020, 2022 that they were pushing on everybody, that it says over 3 million unnecessary deaths were a result of that little.
Oh yeah. That was the agenda.
Finally published a study on it today, admitting it, but yet people are still saying, "Oh no, it was so good." Come on now. All right, I'll get off that tangent.
I'm so glad that you said that. We need to be blasting that. Put that on blast. Like, where is that? Like, why isn't that on my channel right now? Like, I don't like. I mean, like we need to be talking about that. Shoot. Yeah, that's crazy.
They still make digoxin, which is a heart medicine that's been around for. They still make that out of foxglove. I mean, they grow and harvest foxglove, and then digoxin's still made out of that. I mean, it's derived from the foxglove plant. So,
oh yeah, and someone was talking earlier about the aspirin white willow. Yeah, it's acetylic acid is the primary compound in white willow bark that helps with like headaches and circulation issues, and that's what they use to develop aspirin. And so yeah, it's like acetaminophen, Tylenol, things like that. It's based on this research, and so yeah, we're talking about NSAIDs, fever reducers, anything pretty much that you can think of, even say like synthetic, like testosterone for men and all that. I mean, that's based on the bull stuff, even though you can get the bull ball serum and all. That's what I call it. But you know, there's the synthetic version is actually based on that as well. So I mean, it's all based on plant and animal compounds.
I
They
mean,
used
let's
to
look at
call.
things. All right.
Oh, they used to call just the white willow back then. It was just called that was marketed as aspirin. That was a Bayer thing. Bayer tried to patent the willow tree back in the day, like 1896, and the patent office said you can't patent it free. Everybody can grow a tree. And that's when I guess there's a memo out there. I haven't actually seen the memo, but there was a memo that was released shortly thereafter that said we're no longer going to do research as far as herbal medicine. We're going to break it down by the chemical compounds and sell those instead. And then that's where kind of big right around that time is when big pharma started taking over.
I mean, look, let's look at poor women with cancer caused by high estrogen, breast cancer, you know, a lot of your cervical cancer, things like that, you know, and then, or women who had um, hysterectomies, things like that, they're giving them estrogen. Women who were going through menopause, they were giving them estrogen. And back in the 90s, 80s and 90s, breast cancer for women soared to astronomical numbers. And then they realized, oh my goodness, this estrogen that we're giving you pharmaceutical, it's giving you guys cancer. When all along, all they had to look at was herbal phytoestrogen. It would have done so much. And now that's another reason why you see a lot of these pharmaceutical companies downing herbal phytochemistry. Wild yam, exactly. There's so many, not just wild yam, though. There are so many other herbs out there that are beneficial for that.
They found
Yeah.
that how they process them is relevant too, because like with red clover, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but they found that the red clover flower, if they ferment the flower like you would a wine, it stops osteoporosis. I mean, it doesn't like slow it down or make it a little less severe. It literally stops it, like stops it.
That's
They did multiple studies where they gave there was like 60 women on one study, 30 got it, 30 didn't, and they tested them over the course of a year. And the ones that didn't, they lost their 5 to 10% of bone mass, and the ones that got the treatment lost no bone mass throughout the course of the year. So it stopped the bone loss completely. And it's just fermented red clover, you know, just the flour that you'd make into like a beer, essentially, or sauerkraut.
You're
Well, that
right.
makes me
I
curious
mean,
on the nutritional factors of red clover, which I mean, I know I'm a fan of red clover. I mean, I know I have like used it for things in the past. I like it.
It's loaded
Um,
with phytoestrogens, though,
well,
unfortunately.
so that would seem counteractive to, you know, other issues, to other things, you know,
Well, it's not good for
but
hormonal
some,
sensors.
but I was about to say some
It's
women
just a
need some of
plant.
that. Yeah, some women need some of that during
It's
that
just
time,
a
you know.
plant.
Well,
It's
right.
just
You
a bush.
okay,
have
It's just a
multiple
plant. It's
different
just a
ways of
tree.
doing it. For
ca-
example, a woman who has been fighting metastatic breast cancer, or, you know, in the past or currently, or have it in their family, they don't want to be taking something with high phytoestrogen in there. That's something they wouldn't want, you know, so they need to be, and that's why we as herbalists, I know all of you guys too, do this. People need to be their own advocate. They need to do their own due diligence, do their research. They know their family history. They need to have those conversations with somebody, an herbalist or their naturopath, whoever it may be. They need to make sure they ask those questions.
I generally agree with that. Like, you know, I think genes like play, you know, you know, a portion of the role, but nutritional compounds that contribute to the metabolism of, you know, these excessive compounds in our body, most specifically say like, you know, phytoestrogens and estrogen dominance, excess estrogen, things like that can be combated, you know, first off, like by getting more methane in our diet. And it's something that, you know, I speak on commonly on my channel, but you know, via cruciferous vegetables, you know, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, spinach. There's like, you know, quite a few vegetables that carry good amounts of methane. You can also get methane in supplement form. I take it every day. I add it to my, you know, smoothie. And it's something that's real. It's something that, you know, it's like you do the research on it. Seeing it more small and local, natural. we would be getting that stuff.
No, I agree with food. I do agree with food and getting the correct nutrients and what we are lacking. I was just saying, with when it comes to more women's female, the high estrogen cancer. And I guess it's because I work for Ohio State Medical Center and I myself have experienced a lot of estrogen masses, I guess I should say. And I work for, like I said, Ohio State Medical Center, and I have seen a lot of patients. I, as an herbalist, would never advise somebody who has experienced many family members or just a mother who has had breast cancer to take a high phytoestrogen herb.
Yeah, we definitely want to be careful about that, and it's good that you clarified that where science, as far as like sharing about the herb, it's good that you stated that because that is something that we want to be aware of, and this is something that we should be aware of with a few things out there. I know hops contains phytoestrogens in it, soy, adhesives, a lot of the, tape, inks, receipt paper. There's a lot of things that carry phytoestrogens in them. Plastics, a lot of plastics carry phytoestrogen. So, phytoestrogens, because there's, numerous of them. And basically these are chemical compounds that mimic estrogen in our body. And so in a lot of ways will act as, estrogen in our body and contribute with the natural estrogen that our body already produces and has, and will, in a sense, contribute to estrogen dominance, contribute to high inflammation in the body, mood and brain issues and things like that. Welcome, Lock and Key. You want to speak on this? What's up, girl?
There are other herbs out there that can help with hormonal issues that don't have the phytoestrogens in there. So it's not like
I didn't. I tripped
those
over the
are
thing.
only herbs to choose from, But I do agree with you on getting those minerals and vitamins from food. Let's get into the diet. The diet and our gut should be our first choice, 100%.
100%, Anya. Diet and gut go first.
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to fix anything, is looking at your gut health and your diet. Your mouth health too.
My people. Yeah, nutrient absorption, stomach acid content, colonization of flora. There's so many different factors to consider here, but yeah, exactly. That's, one of the first things that needs to be addressed. And honestly, y'all, oh, sorry about that. Okay, so especially for a lot of people who have like recurrent infections, that could be because of a malcolonization of good flora in your diet or in your life. These are actually naturally produced in our body. So, I mean, we could talk about that in another live, but basically, and you can supplement this or you can get good foods that'll contribute to better colonization of flora, prebiotic fiber, fruit to oligosaccharides is my favorite for that. Inulin works for it. There's several different things.
Y'all are going to think I'm saying I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to say this. I think a lot of our constant infections for people who have not been on antibiotics a lot, but yet they have issues. It can be the glyphosate that they spray on everything. And you can research this. The company that makes glyphosate also has a patent. You can Google it. A patent that glyphosate is also a antibiotic. And so then we wonder why we become antibiotic resistant when you finally need an antibiotic and it doesn't work. But yet you've never taken a lot of antibiotics and they can't fight that infection. It's because they're spraying glyphosate on everything.
Yep. That's why you shouldn't eat wheat.
That's exactly where I was going to go. Most people who have gluten intolerance or wheat issues, it's because of the glyphosate that's sprayed on the food. It has nothing to do with the actual product. Because if you go to Europe and you eat the bread and you eat the pasta in Europe, you'll have zero issues if you have issues here in the U.S.
And the same thing applies if you eat ancient grains too. If you switch it out with ancient grains rather than the flour, because most of those aren't grown with any type of glyphosate. So I did a lot of research on that glyphosate. They put 180 million pounds of that shit on our crops every year. 180 million pounds of it. That's just so. Just try to wrap your mind around that number. It's like I think I figured it out to be like over 100. I don't even know. I don't even know how many gallons it is, but it's over 180 million pounds, like 375,000 gallons or something like
I had
that.
to have an emergency
Oh,
appendectomy.
concentrate, right? It's concentrated, then it gets.
I had to have an emergency appendectomy. I've never been on antibiotics like long term or many times in my life. I ended up getting an infection after that appendectomy. And it wasn't just a laparoscopic surgery. They ended up finding out that the appendix had fused to my ovary, so they had to do a full cut because they had to remove the ovary and the appendix. So I was cut from my belly button all the way down to the groin. Well, I got a really bad infection. They were afraid it was going to get into the bloodstream. Anyway, they had me on antibiotics. It wasn't going away. I fought that infection for 8 months. I was resistant to all antibiotics. I was going to the emergency room twice a week for IV antibiotics, taking oral antibiotics. Anyway, finally got through. I was having to go to the doctor's office. They were having to scrape the skin off because our body's natural response is to heal from the outside in to keep all bacteria out. Well, they didn't want that. They wanted the wound to stay open, right? So that infection could get out. Anyway, after researching, I truly believe it's the glyphosate. I became antibiotic resistant due to all that crap. So I stay away from bread now. I stay away from all that crap now.
Claudio Silver, 20 parts per million would have knocked that stuff right out.
You are right. That's what finally ended up doing it, was the Claudio Silver. Yep.
20 parts per million. That's
sourdough
the one.
too. If you like bread, make your own sourdough.
Yeah, make your own bread.
And it kills the glyphosate. But yeah, I have issues with wheat, and that's the only way that I can do wheat anymore is by making sourdough bread and sourdough pastas.
That's what I have too. It's the only kind that I can have.
Yeah, so I agree with everything that was basically just said here. As far as like the people who are like gluten intolerant and everything, I mean, it's not that you like your stuff is very real. Like what you go through is very real, and like like all that is very real. Like, but yeah, it's the fact that they put this stuff on our food in the first place. That's why people have those intolerances. Everyone is intolerant to it to some degree. It's just how much is it affecting you? That's the question.
Right.
It's impacting all of us to some degree.
Yeah.
It's the sensitive people in society that are going to tell us the red flags early so the rest of us know, oh fuck, we need to do something about this. I thank God for them. Thank God for us. In that way, like the people who like, cause I know like, I commonly easily react to things. I know a lot of us, as we start stripping the stuff more out of our diet and everything, we get more sensitive anytime anything like that is reintroduced.
Absolutely.
And so, it's definitely good to pay attention to that. If you start all of a sudden developing flu-like symptoms and everything, you may be sick. You may have ate something that you shouldn't have. You may be coming down with the flu, or it may be something, introduced new to you that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And we have to think about it in a way where, that one chunk of land on a farm is sprayed year after year after year. How toxic does that soil become over time?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was doing the reading on those studies, what they've discovered is that the glyphosate's everywhere. It's in the groundwater, it's in the soil, it's in the air. It's in the plants, it's in the trees, in the woods around the plants. I mean, it's literally, they find it everywhere. We're kind of saturated with it. I did a video. I don't know. I've done it twice, but I lived real close to where somebody was crop dusting, and I was a half a mile away from them as they were crop dusting, and I could taste the chemicals in the air, as it was drifting through the air. So you have people that have their organic farms, and so their soil might be clean, at least as clean as it's going to be. If they're anywhere near other farms that get sprayed, they run the risk of having that overdraft coming onto theirs.
Definitely.
And no matter what the chemical is, but those types of chemicals in particular, and you're never really as organic as people think they are, to be fair. And they've done studies on that too, and they find you don't necessarily get more benefits as far as the vitamin content out of organic food. It's just typically cleaner for you. So
yeah, for me, it's just to keep the glyphosate and the pesticides off of, because I think that's what I'm allergic to a lot of the time.
I want to go over something with that though, because although I generally would think that you're correct on that, I actually originally thought that too. The fact of the matter is that organic food contains up to 5 times the nutrient density of chemically grown products. Even though it is not as dense as the stuff our ancestors ate, probably our grandparents, great-grandparents ate, it still has 5 times more than the other stuff does. And that should tell you how drastic, how bad the problem actually is.
I haven't read that study, but I'll certainly look into that too. I was just reading some of the other studies that were showing, and that could have been just Big Food saying that, because that's a thing Big Food would do.
You can definitely tell the difference, though.
Taste-wise, absolutely.
Well, just how you feel, though, from eating non-organic. Go and eat non-organic for a week, and then go eat organic, and then see how you feel. You can definitely tell a difference in your body and in your gut,
I picked up some organic meat. It's disgustingly expensive. I have to do a video on it too. It's a place that sells ostrich and emu meat. So I picked up their variety pack, and I have an ostrich steak. There's some emu steak. There's some.
I've never had that before.
Duck meat. Well, that's red meat. The emu and ostrich are red meat like beef, but they're more nutrient dense, so they have more protein.
Delicious.
They're clean. It is supposed to be. I haven't never had ostrich, but I've had emu. I love emu meat, so I mean that was kind of a bonus for me. But the ostrich, it's like a big 12-ounce steak is what I ended up getting, and I haven't eaten any of it yet. It's just been sitting in my freezer. It's a place called Amarillo Hills, and I don't even know where they're from. They ship it to you within 2 days of your order.
California.
Is it? Probably, maybe. Yeah, it's possible. But that's what they grow. They grow.
I don't know about ostrich. I don't know about ostrich meat, but I know there's a lot of people suffering from ostrichitis. That's a little joke.
Well, let's hopefully I won't turn into what I eat in this instance.
I will say we have 5 kiddos, and we did a study amongst our kids. So our kids used to eat school food and school lunches for their earlier school years, and they would come home sick, shotgunning water out of body parts they should not be shotgunning water out of. And we took them off of all processed foods and off of all chemically processed foods, out of dyes, out of sugars, and they're probably the most regular and healthy kids. Their attitudes have changed. They're not depressed anymore. Our kids aren't throwing tantrums on the floor. We had a 12-year-old who would throw 2-year-old tantrums on the floor. And we did a full cleanse on food in our house, and we have completely different kids now. And we did it on ourselves too. And it's amazing when you stop eating all the bad stuff.
That's
how your body changes.
That's what happened with my daughter. My daughter, she's used to, all home cooked meals, and she went to public school, and she wouldn't even eat. She wouldn't eat at all. She would wait until she would get home. And now I homeschool her. I don't even have her in the public system anymore. Yeah.
That's actually very concerning information.
It is. It's scary.
Especially being prior service, that makes me even more concerned. I don't even want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. You should see
no.
what they have to do to kids at school
when you work in the industry and
Yeah,
right. I get it.
It's bad. It is really bad. Our
those
kids
dyes, lock and key, those dyes are the worst. I got my kids off the dyes my son would throw himself on the ground and be like all crazy. And then once the dyes were out, like totally different kids, super sweet and nice. Yeah. Like,
yep. I will say the kids came home from school right at the end of the school year, and they were, because they go to charter schools, which is, they still get district lunches at the charter schools, but they were like, Mom, should pork meat be like pinkish red after it's been cooked? And I'm like, no, this is why we send you with what we make you. We make them like bento boxes and stuff like that, because it's gross. Because they put, when was it Barack Obama was in office, Michelle Obama did this whole thing that no child goes unfed. And at least here in Colorado this year, they enacted a law that every kid gets free school lunches, breakfast and lunch, and they don't have enough food to go around for the kids in the school. So they're like throwing worse than jailhouse slop together for them. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's the gauntlet.
Saffron.
It's sad, but I grew up in public school.
Did you guys hear?
Public school. I went to public school, so you know, thinking back to those days, like I was eating crap too. You know.
Did you guys hear that they are starting to discuss putting the 3D meat in those mail food things where you can they mail you the food that you can make for the week, you know, where it gives you the exact ingredients and you can order your food. That's supposedly going to be 3D meat now.
No, I'll just kill the chickens in the backyard and eat those. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's crazy.
Chickens and turkeys and ducks.
The world is getting crazier and crazier by the day, you guys.
So, who's from an ingredient-only household?
Love that.
Oh, nice.
That's cool. I love that.
We do. We love that.
Well, hey, y'all. I actually
peanut allergies earlier.
Oh, definitely. Well, peanuts are more prone to like mold and stuff like that,
Yeah.
bacterial infections, and
terrible.
Yeah, like I mean,
But
like I still eat them.
Come from?
I still eat them, but like the nutrients in them are
It's
in a lot of
old,
ways
it's right.
good, except for they are
Which is-
higher in omega-6 content as well, so they contribute to.
You're allergic to the mold.
It's just the mold. It's not the peanuts. Yeah.
Yeah, you're allergic to the mold.
Homemade almond butter.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna call it a night. So I just got to be up really early in the morning. But great talking with all y'all.
Good night,
Fantastic crowd here. Yeah, much love. So be safe and continue. This is an
Peace
amazing
out,
conversation. Definitely keep it going. So
Yeah,
be happy, be healthy.
Coffee does have mold too.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's interesting because we never had peanut allergies growing up as a kid,
Right.
like ever, and now everybody's allergic to peanuts.
I have a theory about that. Remember the WIC program and how they gave so many pregnant mothers peanut butter, like constantly?
Yep.
I think the babies from that built some kind of allergy.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh,
Interesting.
bug! I need to punch myself in the leg.
Yeah, the coffee has the mold. I'm still drinking the coffee.
I'm still drinking. I think we all are.
Good night.
I love the coffee.
Good night, Wilson.
Good night.
I enjoy chicory myself.
You okay?
I'm putting some tea tree on to keep the bugs away. Like straight up the essential oil on my skin because I'm getting eaten alive and I wanted to be outside. So.
I'm jumping off here also, everyone.
Good night, Anya.
Yes.
Have a good night. Peace out.
Andy.
For the great live, DJ.
I do black tea instead of coffee.
Good night, guys.
Do caffeine at all?
No, good for you.
I get really sick, like if I have any caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super sensitive to caffeine.
Yeah. I only do like a cup in the morning. I do a cup of coffee in the morning. That's it. I used to drink a pot a day. That's a success story for me.
I used to take a lot of pre-workout though, so I think that might have something to do with it. And now I just can't tolerate any caffeine. I get like cysts from it. It's like really bad.
I used to drink a lot of Monsters.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, that was me.
Not anymore. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't any better. I was like doing the Red Bull and the freaking Celsius. But I was ignorant. You know, I literally was
Red Bull and
ignorant.
vodka.
Yeah, Red Bull
That
vodka.
was me.
Just straight vodka is fine. You don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of buying vodka to drink now, I just buy vodka to make tinctures.
Right? I have bottles of them in the garage. I'm like,
that's me
I wonder
too.
if
Yeah.
the neighbors think I'm an alcoholic over here.
Right.
Right. I know. I feel like I need to clarify when I go load up at the liquor store. I'm like, this is. I
Right. You need to tell them
like,
what you're doing.
like,
Right?
tincture. I have no idea what that is. I'm like, oh good. He's like, just take your vodka and leave, you lush.
I have
What's your
one more
favorite
thing to say
tincture to
before I
make?
close.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I close myself out. Saffron. Any kids suffering from hyperactivity,
Oh yeah.
before
Saffron,
you even worry about the dyes, before you even worry about cleaning the diet up, calm them down, then clean the diet up. It works really fast. Little quick tea. You know, I don't know if you want to put honey in it to make the taste better, but saffron is really good studies on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I read something about that.
Yeah, there's like actually these little packets. I forget what they're called, but it has saffron and 2 other herbs, and they give them to kids with like ADHD. And
Right now, since it's become popular, you got to be careful
oh, of course,
because they'll just put horsehair. They'll just put horsehair in it and call it saffron.
Oh,
So you got to get it at a reputable place, you know.
yes. Oh, definitely.
Just like the NAC. Just like the NAC. They get it from hair. They make it from hair.
Yeah.
So it's quality. I'm all about quality.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I search.
Right.
But that's it. Anyway, nice talking to y'all. We'll see y'all again.
It's nice to talk to you.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
You too. Okay.
Life Boost coffee is clean.
I've never heard of them, but I'll have to check them out. I don't drink any coffee anymore, though, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite tinctures to make? Do we have a favorite?
My favorite. I can tell you my least favorite. I guess the propolis I like because I have beehives and I make a propolis tincture, so that's like my favorite because
awesome.
it's. I mean, I grow most of the herbs, but the propolis is like, I don't know. It seems next level to me. I love the smell of it. I love the color of it.
Do you sell the propolis?
No.
Why
not? I don't know.
Propolis is amazing. I don't even know where to get any out here.
Yeah, I'm in Maryland. I'm out on the other side.
I'm coming
But right now we only have 5 hives.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's hard work.
Yeah.
This off, but well worth it. Well worth it. But
fresh honey is well worth it. Alma, what about you?
Me, I actually have a lot of herbs, but I drink them as tea. I haven't made any tinctures, but I buy a lot of tinctures. I consume them a lot. But yeah, I haven't made any. I'm not an expert on on making tinctures. I actually am taking like a little course so I can learn, you know, how to make medicine and stuff because I want the proper ratios and stuff like that. I don't know any of that. So I don't want to just throw a bunch of stuff together and, you know. But I mean, is that what you guys do?
No, there's always a formula.
Yeah,
there's a formula, but I would say that I'm more of a...
I don't know what herbs go with each other, and I want to learn that.
Yeah.
Before I start making tinctures, yeah.
No, 100%. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not like selling anything. I'm literally learning on the fly. I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm learning, and I'm just doing it. And I've had some failures. You know, I'm a novice at this, but I love it. I feel like it's my calling. I feel like that I was meant late in life, but it's still this was what I was made for. You know, so
that's
I'm grateful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Better late than never, though. Once you start learning, it's like a rabbit hole you don't come out of ever.
Exactly, yes.
Ever.
I learn something new every day. I learn a new herb. I learn literally something new every day. Just walking through
Yeah, I'm
the woods in the
constantly
back of the
educating
house.
myself on stuff, and I just finished school last July. Um, I deal with gut health and autoimmune diseases, so I'm constantly educating myself on herbs and things and trying to gain more knowledge to use in my practice.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think tinctures for me seem fairly there's to me they're fairly simple as long as you know your ratios of herbs. Some people do a 1 to 4, so 1 part herb, 4 parts vodka. Some people do a 1 to 3, and it just
See,
depends
that's
on
what I want to learn, all of those
what your
things.
preference is.
Yeah.
There's
I like making
there's
tinctures.
there's a book that explains all that. It's a wild dandelion. I think her thing. If you go to her website, she has a thing, and there's a thing that shows each thing. I'll DM you. I'll send her link to you, Alma, and you can go on her website. She has there's a thing it references everything. She shared it with us in one of our lives, and everything's actually written there for you. You don't have to reinvent. But
Okay,
if you
awesome.
wanted to do it that way,
I bought $300 worth of herbs, and like I realized when I got them, like there's a certain formulation to these things. I can't just like dump a bunch of stuff and fill the thing up, fill a jar up with vodka and just let it sit, because what if it's super potent and like it could hurt somebody? So yeah, I have like a bunch of herbs. I just, like I said, I'm learning, how to formulate all of this.
I will say you can't there it's the potency level is going to stop pulling the constituents after 3 to 4 weeks anyway. After that, your herbs are just going to turn to mush. There are some herbs that I let sit, especially like root herbs, that I usually let sit for about 6 weeks, just because it takes a little longer to pull those constituents. And what I see a lot of people do is they do an infusion in, that clear drink we all like, so nobody gets kicked off of here tonight. And then they either add olive oil on top of it in order to make like a lotion base or a salt base, and or I also see people add um, and then they boil off the alcohol, or they add it to a glycerin and boil off the alcohol too. There's a couple of different ways to do it, but you can let it sit forever and it's not going to get any stronger. At one point, there's an herbalist, there's a guy on here that does a whole video, like he does this whole diagram. I'll have to find him and send him to everybody, where he explains how long it takes for those constituents to come out of the herb into the alcohol. And then once it's done, it's done. It doesn't get any more, it doesn't get any less. So it won't be, there's no such, in my opinion, I should say, you can't really make it too potent, because after 4 weeks, you're not going to be able to pull anything else out, because there's nothing left to pull out of the herb.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'll have to find his video. I follow him. He's really cool, and he does like all kinds of like he like draws pictures for people and stuff like to.
I love that.
He kind of dumbs it down for people.
That's
I say that with all the love, but he does. He like showed this whole thing of, this is what happens in the first week, and this is what happens in the second week, and this is what it looks like in the third week, and by the fourth week, all of it's spread out, and you can't pull any more constituents out of those herbs. I started making single herb tinctures, is where I started before I started doing
that's what I'm
blends.
thinking I should start, just, with single herbs.
That's what I did. I
haven't. And then start mixing later. But we'll see. I have this little course that I'm doing, and then if you guys send me, any information that would be helpful, for me to learn more, I'll read through it. I'll watch the videos and stuff. So
yeah, I follow both. Well, I've been following From the Farms for a long time.
We're going to start doing a Chinese herbs. Mary's going to come down from Luma Tea, and so I'm going to start having a live. We're going to be talking about that. So it's going to Angie, myself.
I know Angie's always
so
making stuff. So.
But yeah, a lot of the Chinese herbs that can mix with the Western herbs and stuff. But she was saying like a lot of those herbs can help enhance other herbs.
Yep.
So she's going to start with the basic course and stuff, and so just the basics. We're going to put that together, and that's something that we're going to be doing. So if you guys are interested, make sure you stay tuned, and if you guys want to be part of that class and learn it. And I'm going to tape them, and then I'll probably put them on YouTube as well, so you guys can rewatch them if you miss any classes. But so that's it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know myself. I know some of the Chinese herbs. I don't know a lot of it. A lot of it I've been learning through her stuff. So I think it'll be very.
Chinese medicine is amazing. I learned about that when I went to school. That was one of the things I learned, and just totally different. You know, their culture and stuff and how they do things. It's pretty awesome. I wanted to let you guys know that I'm basically done with my gut healing guide. I'm launching a program July 1st. It's called a gut reset program, and it's a 4-week program that people can join. And I will go over my guide with everybody. I'll send it out to everybody and go over it with them. But it's basically telling you how to feed your gut for better health, and anybody can join. Anybody with inflammation, anybody who just wants to eat better, anybody with digestive issues, bloating, anything. This guide will help you heal your gut up. So I just wanted to, to talk about that. But it's being edited right now, and then I'm also going to copyright it. So it should be done by July 1st. But anybody like in here, all of the herbalists in here, I will send it to you guys for free, so you guys can have that little gem.
Nice.
So
that's exciting.
Appreciate that, Grandma. That's great. Thank you once again for joining, and you. I know this is your first time in here.
Thank you for having
Janie.
me.
Hey, you're more than welcome. We do this every other Wednesday as this is my round table. All us herbalists get together. I think you've been in the audience before. I know you've been in here.
Yeah.
Or you come to my Saturdays. I know that.
Yeah, so, I try to stalk. Saturdays are hard, but I try to stalk, and
thank you for your
But Freebird, thank you. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come in and dive in and learn on these Wednesdays. It's real beneficial. I think every Wednesday I've been here, I've learned something new. And I'm always newer people in here. And we have to rotate people. We will. But a lot of people, it's a good place to get together and learn and compare things. And I noticed that a lot of other channels are doing this, or a lot of other creators are now doing this, or they want to be on here. But they're doing the same thing. I know Giselle, she has her own thing. She has kind of similar stuff, so we kind of do similar things. But I love doing this, and I think everyone benefits from it. It's a community, and we need more of it, just like our garden community. So, I do a lot of stuff with that as well. And I try not to get, I just want to help people. So I want people to have this kind of information and share it out. Share it as much as possible.
Definitely spread the word, spread the health, spread the knowledge. Yeah.
For us all getting that. A lot of people are still with their, they're still denying what's going on, and I understand there's none of us ever say there's no need for Western medicine or what Western. Hey, cowgirls. But
no, EJ, I think a lot of people are addicted though, because the food that they're eating is so addicting and it's hard for them to let go too. Maybe they have the knowledge, but it's hard for them to let go of their lifestyle and let go of those habits.
It's not easy. I mean, all of us have been
Definitely
there.
Not easy, especially because it's around us, every single day.
Right. And that's not our fault, but it took us a long time to get where we are, and we just let it happen. But if we start one thing at a time, maybe stop. I would say, hey, don't stop drinking your sugars, don't stop drinking your coffees, just stop. Add something else, find something else that you like. And the easiest way is find, like, for breakfast, for instance, if you eat 3 meals, if you fast, it's different, but you got to get to that point. So if it's breakfast or your first meal, find 3 or 5 things that you can eat that you enjoy. Say it's eggs, say it's, you like eating bacon or something, and whatever. Keep it to a minimum. Don't like a bunch of like cereal. I like try to eliminate things a little bit at a time.
But if you have time to do all that, I mean, I make my kids homemade pancakes. I make them, like, a lot of things homemade, but if you have time to do all of that.
Right. But eventually get yourself to. You can't start making your own cereal and doing stuff like that unless you have that. It takes a lot to do different things, but start off slow.
No, exactly. You got to do what works for you. Yeah.
Yeah, don't start taking away. So I'm gonna go, and I see people do this. I'm going to go total vegan, or I'm going to stop all sugars, or I'm going to do this. That's a big change.
I did that. I went hardcore at it. It's like, as soon as I woke up, I was like, I'm not doing that. And I did. It was way too much, I think, too soon, because I did things backwards from the way I should have done them.
And the people around you too. So that's an effect too. So, like, let's say you go to, like, Thanksgiving or something, and you're saying, well, I'm not eating this, this, and this, and everyone's like, hey, I'm not eating. What do you want to do? I'm like, well, you feel out of place, but that's something you have to, even in your community. And if you work and you're passing through, there's every fast food. Hey, I used to eat at McDonald's, or hey, I used to eat at Burger King, or whatever. Those are like, hey, But when you start making your own food, cooking your own food, a lot of other countries, they buy their daily.
Yeah,
they go to
I was sick before this. I had type 2 diabetes. I had a food business where I was selling churros and tri-tip sandwiches and everything bad, and I, had type 2 diabetes. So I did all of that before, what I'm doing now, helping people heal their guts and all of that,
Yeah.
Right.
I do. I think that's how a lot of us end up here. I had lupus, fibromyalgia. They said I had MS.
Enough.
I was a slave to Big Pharma. I was a slave to Big Pharma.
I had no idea about holistic health or holistic healing until I got sick and I needed to fix my gut. I didn't know that antibiotics messed my gut up until I went to see a naturopath. And she was like my last resort. I thought I was going to die. So, that's what led me down this whole path. So, and I think that is what happened with a lot of us. We were sick and,
That's everyone that's I've had on here on my Saturday mornings, all the herbalists, Angie, Justin, yourself, even at my equine therapist, everyone who's been on here that I've interviewed, and we do the stuff that we do is because we weren't getting the results that we wanted from the doctors and Big Pharma. We still says, hey, there's something wrong here, and this is just keep taking it. We'll up your doses. We'll do this. You know what? I'm tired of taking these pills. I'm tired of doing this. What if I change my lifestyle, my eating? Well, you could do that, or it's just easier just take the pill. I'm like, well, hey, if that's going to work, working out, or any.
The thing
and
with that too.
We've done the research, take it on, and do it. Like you guys were talking about earlier, and I had myself on mute all this whole time. These schools, like you're saying, the lunches and stuff like that, and they've changed it from like the 1960s, 50s, 60s, 70s. The lunches started changing, and before they used to give you good, healthy meals in your lunches when your kids would go. Now it's just like chips and soda and
doesn't even look like food. Really. It looks like something you would feed a pig or something, like some of the time, It doesn't even look appetizing.
It's
right?
just terrible.
And that's all by design. See, they want us to, and not only that, the food, but no one ever talks about the fluorescent lights that are in these that make them, have their ADHD. It just it triggers them, a lot of it, especially with the foods that you eat and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
It plays, how you were talking about stuff like that. It all plays in a part. They did these studies of that they put the lights, and you see this one kid. He's just acting out. He's like can't pay attention. He's all over the place. They put a thing over the lights. They turn off the lights, and this kid was like in front of the class, like doing everything. He's raising his hand,
Because of
not acting,
disturbing from
whatever.
the LEDs. Yeah, that's.
Yep.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
It really is. There's
Impact
so
of
much.
chemicals and food dyes and everything. Yeah.
How I do knowledge about this, like when I used to work in the city, or I used to, work for 9 to 5, and then I used to, be in the city. I had to on my days off, I had to go camping, get away from the city and get totally grounded, no electronics, and to piece myself out or to collect myself, and and it helped. It helped a lot, even if I had to go, to a campground or something like that, whatever it was, I had to get out of the city. I had to get away from all the chaos and stuff like that. Now I'm on way out here in the middle of nowhere, so
I
it's
love
like
being
everyday
in the middle
camping.
of nowhere. It makes it. I don't. When I go into the city, I feel like shit. Like my head hurts, my ears ring. I feel like I'm being radiated constantly from the towers and all this stuff. It's just a
Pollution
lot.
in the air, everything. Yeah, I agree. I wanted to speak a little bit on like medications when people are taking medications. I think people are just so used to, like, this is just my opinion, of getting told what to do. Oh, you need to take this for this, instead of like kind of using common
Right.
sense. Like, you've been taking this for 5 or 10 years and you're not better, and you haven't thought of that. Like, that hasn't been a thought in your mind, and maybe you've switched like between this medication and that medication and you're not better, you're feeling worse. Like, people are the best detectives at like what's going on in their bodies. And I feel like we're just, like I said, so used to being told what to do, and brainwashed, that we don't look at our bodies anymore. We're used to just going to the doctor and thinking they have all the answers.
Oh, and you become numb. You're sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
From either the medication or the disease. You're
Right.
sick.
They conditioned us for that. It's our fault. We let it happen.
Definitely.
We let it
They
happen.
conditioned, not only from television, radio, social media, the news. They conditioned. They says, okay, when especially when COVID was, and that's where they do these experiments. We were talking about this earlier. So they try it, and then if no one responds to it, they up it, or they try this, and then they learn from that what works and what doesn't, how they can put fear, and that's all it is. They tell, oh, Alma, if you don't stay on this medication, you're not going to get better. You better just don't just stay on the medication. Don't worry about anything else. And we'll monitor it. We'll up your medication or whatever. We'll add something else or whatever. Not, hey, Alma, if you just watch your your food intake, maybe do a little exercise. Hey, have you tried these foods or whatever? No, they don't say that. I've had a doctor who says, I asked him, hey, doc, do I need to eat healthier? I've been working out and stuff like that. He's like, hey, man, I know people are couch potatoes and they just eat McDonald's every day. You're fine. Just take the medication.
They're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Really?
I shouldn't be laughing, but yeah, that's just, yeah. Yeah, it's sad that that's
exactly what they told me. Hey, I have couch potatoes that do this stuff. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's people, like you said, user Kath, I'm sorry. But people in your own family won't listen. I mean, I'm a living testimony to being healthy, doing better. I walk it, I talk it, and I try to share it. And I will still walk into my kid's house and there will still be all of the bioengineered trisodium phosphate,
it's
all of it.
Convenience and
Yeah.
And then well, hey, don't worry about what you eat. Just out. Maybe take this pill. Take these supplements. You know, and it's like, oh man, what are we doing? But when you start getting into, and that's they have all these supplements, but like I said, all the supplements are from stuff that's all around us. You know, everyone they make all this fear, but we have trees. You can eat every part of the dandelion. You can eat that grows everywhere. Every part of you got all these other things that are beneficial you can eat from. And it's funny, but they don't talk about that because they want you, you know, hey, we're gonna like that big circus thing that they did. You know, like you go to a certain store and the shelves were empty, but you go to a mom and pop store and the shelves were full, and it's like these are big corporations, and then they tell you to go a certain direction or you have to do a certain thing. I'm like, this is all charades. They don't care about us.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely not. No. And then people walk in the grocery stores and like half their cart is filled up with packaged things and not even real food. And people don't realize like, you know, the best part of the grocery
cook
store
and all this stuff.
the produce. Go ahead, sorry.
Microwaves. Get rid of your microwave, man.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Oh man, but it is convenient. I know people that use it and whatever. But if you don't need to have one, you know, don't have. But there's all kinds of stuff like that.
If for a Faraday cage, you can throw your phone and your tablet in there. You know, if you want your microwave, keep it for a Faraday cage. You have it,
right?
You know,
right.
Keep your phone in there.
And you,
yeah.
I'm all about reusing things. We're not going to nuke our food anymore.
What tinctures are and stuff like that, and learning that medicine is basically is teaching you how to cook. So if you can make a lot of these herbs and stuff like that, you're baking, you're cooking, you're doing stuff. So get rid of a lot of these processed foods that you just heat up or whatever. It's not even, you know, put in a microwave, heat up, and some people, you can cook a whole meal in a microwave. You know, you can cook, but some people do that. Some people do all that. You know, that's still cooking after it's after you get it out of the microwave, it's still cooking for another, you know, 15, 20 minutes. And people digest it right after they, so, but start little things, you know, if it's grounding, if it's doing a motivation thing, if it's drinking more water. And that's another thing. I've been trying to get this water specialist on here, my good friend Alex, and he talks all about it. But there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of people that even him, he does these things, and he watched a couple of his videos. He thought he was healthy. He said, I'm doing all these things, I'm working out, I'm doing the right water, doing like this, but because of his he's got some health issues, and he's like, man, I thought I was doing all the right things, but apparently I'm not getting enough of this or not enough of that. Yeah, I did some blood work and stuff like that, but a lot of people with all the foods that Alma was talking about with the, you know, the wheats and the rice and all the other stuff that and then what's her name was saying in other countries, they don't have this problem. It's because
they don't. It's just
not
America.
Poisoning their communities. You're not purposefully poisoning.
Right. And you know, and a lot of people think, and I'm not going to get political here, but I can take other countries. We'll take Russia, for instance. They have programs where they you know, like the microgreens. Let's take microgreens for an instance. They've been doing that for years before we started it here. And they're so high advanced in making microgreens. They have machines that do it, like hydroponic, and they've been doing it for like, and they actually give grants, and if you want to start your own or do your own, they'll give you money for it. If you want to have chickens and stuff like that in your community, they'll give you
property and everything, especially if you grow organic.
Yes.
Yep, it's like a bad word in their country. If anything, GMO or something, they're like, what? You can go to prison for it, actually. You get fined and you can go to prison.
I wish it was like that over here.
So do I. I was going to say that. I agree with you.
Eliminate half.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, you see all these farmers will freaking go. Tyson and, you know, all these other freaking companies or whatever. a lot of my friends that I follow here are farmers. So a lot of them, we have a big farm community. They do a lot of battles and stuff. But he was talking. He's been selling a lot of his land because of he has natural chickens. There's 2 Tyson plants right down the street from him, and they had that bird flu, and they all had to burn their chickens for whatever. But he was the only one that didn't. They're like, "How did you not get it?" He's all, "Mine eat real bugs, and they're free range." He's all, "I don't." Right? He's all, "Maybe the cure's in the bugs. Let your chickens eat the bugs." But he's someone that's going to go in the moringa business because that's something we need, and that's why I encourage everyone to grow these. If they eliminate our food, this is something that's, and that in Florida and stuff like that where they really do this a lot.
It cures hunger in other countries.
They say it's an invasive species, but like I said, Benjamin and a lot of these people that I know that actually in Congress and stuff, they said, "Hey, we don't care what it is. You can grow it. You can do whatever, and we'll, but if someone comes in and say they don't want it because they want their soybeans or their corn, you're going to have to tear all that down. You have to have insurance. It's $7.5 million to have." And he's all, "What do I need that kind of collateral for?" He's all, "In case whoever comes in the office and they don't like it, and they want their soybeans, you have to tear all yours out." It has nothing to do with health. It all has to do with money and greed.
Oh, of course, yeah.
He's all, "I'm building food forests and helping other people and people who are investing in this. They're buying a share of land. They got a micro share of land, so they're it's through a trust. It's nonprofit. We don't have to share it with you, but I'm helping people." They go, "Oh, we don't care about that." And then he says, "Well, you're in charge of the bees, right?" They're like, "Oh, I didn't know that. Is that my job?" They don't. No one freaking cares. It's when they get up there in the government, and it's like, I think we're talking about this ourselves. To self-govern. And this is real successful, but they don't want that either. They want the control. They want the 5-minute cities. They want everything.
Yeah.
That stuff here.
Exactly.
But they made us stronger, especially out here, because we started trading and bartering and building communities out here that we didn't need to go to the city. 5-mile radius right here. I know people that have beans, chickens, beef, corn, whatever I need, I can get from my here. And I know mechanics and other stuff here. So if I need things fixed or electricity or anything like that, we're good to go doing communities.
Yeah. I'm blessed myself. I have nothing but farms around me. There's nothing but farms and country around me. So, yeah, I'm blessed to have that around me.
I am too.
And that's we just got to have it and put it to other people and let them know. That's why, we hear about, Farm Fresh 24/7, the Farmer Shop, Eggs Nearby. We're trying to let other people know that they have those out there that they can, help themselves to and trade and bargain and with fresh food and not have to go depend on, these big corporate stores.
Right.
So, and that's what, like everyone in here, we try to grow our own food, even if you can't, microgreens or sprouts or some type of thing. What's his name? Georgia's Best, that comes in here every now and then. He's got everything growing in his house. Literally, he's got hydroponics. He's got soil. He's got things just growing everywhere in his living room and his whatever. He's growing cucumbers and tomatoes, everything in his house. It's not like some people say, "Well, I got no room," or "I can't do that." This guy is literally saying, "Hey, I can bring the family over because I got a garden in my house." He's more happy because he's like, "Dude, I did that. Hey, I don't have to go to the store or worry about, like, I've actually got food here, and people say, "Well, I can't," or like, "Man, hey, well, when shit hits the fan."
That's just an excuse.
Right. Or if you
everybody can do something.
Everybody, yes, exactly.
Yeah, or if you can't, just
If you
buy
can't,
seats for your name.
you know somebody with a space that maybe, you could borrow. You're always saying that, EJ,
Right.
Don't you get mad when you see like these properties and you see like this big plot and they're like, plant something. You just have grass there.
Anything, yes.
Why don't you plant something? This neighbor with this huge ass property and they not even just
one thing in there, yeah.
Not one thing.
And I think a lot of people, they're so used to going to the grocery stores and having everything like so quick and fast, and they don't want to grow anything, They're so used to an easy lifestyle.
Right. And they did that on purpose, like we talked about. And I tell people, hey, and this is the, like I said, everything they do for an experiment. The whole convert is experiment.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, they want to see how the people react.
Right. And people don't. Like I says, hey, well, crap. Walmart's just right across the street, but Jim and Steve, their mom and pops is 2 miles down or 5 miles down from there. But hey, this is right there. I don't want to go all the way over there, and they're a little bit more expensive, but they're serving you quality food. They get, and I talk to a lot of mom and pop. They DM me all the time. I have a lot of people just DM me. They're like, "Hey, man, thanks for supporting us. When we did this and we supported our community, and they were there for us during it. But when the big corporations opened back up and started, putting food on the shelves, they turned their backs on us and went back to corporate. You can't support a community. And I tell people, if you go to Walmart, I don't mean to say anything. You go to these big corporation stores, and you go there and you have a little bit of money. You have enough, bread. You want to get some bread, some milk, and some eggs. That's $200. So you don't have enough. You only have $198. So they're going to make you put something back. They ain't going to say, you know what, you're in here all the time. We'll get you next time you come in. No, they ain't going to do that.
Exactly.
You go to Bill and Sally's, the store, the mom and pop store. They says, you know what, you're part of the community. We got you. Go ahead, take it, whatever. Next time you come in, And I've seen them do that. I've seen these big corporations. Man, it pissed me off. I would stand there. I'm like, hey, this person is in here. They're writing you a check. They come in here all the time. What do you mean you're not taking cash? Some of the stupid stuff that they were doing. And I'm like,
oh yeah, the no cash thing.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to answer this question from Kath. It could be because maybe they don't have enough money to bring some of the things that you're requesting in. I actually promote myself at a wellness store, and she doesn't always have the money to bring everything that the customers want in. She's running it herself. Maybe it's the same for them, maybe, it's just a financial thing.
Yeah. And a lot of these, are coming from, overseas and stuff like that. So the cost and, stuff like that. And that's why,
yeah,
I try to, we try to promote and grow here or do here or get from here. But it's cheaper to have it made and shipped and do it all over here. But then you're running the risk of quality and how it comes through customs and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it could be various things, yes.
Yeah, yeah, they can only afford.
EJ, so the wellness store, there's only one. I live in a small town. There's only one wellness store here, and the lady is looking to sell or maybe have an investor come on. And I was thinking maybe I might pick up the store. So that might be something coming soon.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm already in the the nutrition, lane and stuff, and I think that would be a great addition to my life. So I'm definitely thinking about it. There's, a lot of factors when it comes into buying a business or investing in one, so I have to look at all of that. But I love the lady. She said she would love for the store to go to me. So yeah, I'm considering that right now.
Make sure you put and that's what I tell people. Hey, people are
And if I
worried about.
do pick up, okay, sorry, go ahead.
See, a lot of people when you get into your business and stuff like that, and you're doing your own thing or whatever, and a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, get an LLC." The first thing you want to do is get a trust or have a company and put everything under a trust. And you can put your LLCs or your other companies under a trust. This is what all the big corporations do. This is what every corporation, like Pfizer, any of these companies, they have the main company, which is under a trust, and then they put their other small companies under them. If they get sued or something, these little small companies will take the hit, and that's why they can sue the heck out of them all the time. But this is where you don't want to own nothing. Nothing's going to be in your name. You want it under your trust or your big thing. So,
yeah. No. Yeah, of course. So, yeah. I totally know that. And then I can carry all of your guys' stuff in the store.
You can do anything you want, and a lot of stuff. If you're look at all the grants and look at all the nonprofit stuff you can do. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And if you can get loans from your local city, if it's something with the community, you're helping the community, and you're saying, hey.
I'm actually already part of a nonprofit right now, so yeah, I would go to the bank and get a loan, definitely.
That's great, Alma. I hope that works out. I really do.
Thank you.
It's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And you need to keep that place alive and there in that little town. There's nothing around me.
It's the only one here, and I don't want it to go away. We need this here.
Yeah, I gotta drive an hour and a half to get to one.
Yeah. Yeah, the nearest one is 30 minutes away, and a lot of people probably wouldn't want to drive 30 minutes out.
No, I literally, it has to be a day trip for me to go to any kind of store like that. Oh, what are you doing today? I like to lump everything into that day, go to the store.
Yeah.
Stock up.
They put pressure on a lot of these stores like that and stuff. They says, and that's why they have Walmart. So, oh, you can get all that at Walmart, or you can go to this at this one store, or whatever. And it's bulk and it's crap items, but they put these, little herb stores or whatever out of business, and they do all this stuff so they can go out of business, and they don't support them. They do different stuff like that to control the community, and then they'll force you to online. That's what they want everyone to do. They'd rather have everyone buy online. They can control. They can redirect it. They can shut it off.
Track everything. Yeah.
Right.
That's sad. I mean, even in this area, if you just Google apothecaries near me, all you'll get is dispensaries. That's all that will pop up.
That's funny. Yeah, there's one wellness store here, and there's 11 dispensaries, and it's a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. Yeah.
And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
And a lot of those apothecaries
and I'm the only functional nutritionist in my town as well. I don't know any. I looked up, functional nutritionists near me. I think maybe there's one other, but nothing popped up. So yeah, we're, we need more people like me here, and we definitely need the wellness store to stay here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It's a dying thing. People, and you hear and it's just, that's why I like this community, and I promote more like this and like you. But you hear some of these chats and stuff like that, and these people are talking, well, what? And you hear them, they do it in here. Some people come in here and they'll ask Tracy or something like that, oh, what degrees you got? Are you a doctor? Or are you this or whatever? And it's like,
I only play a doctor.
Yeah, right. We read the same books that they do. They just got a piece of paper, and we just decide to not have that because our hands will be tied. Or, a lot of these, and I get these DMs too, doctors, nurses, and stuff say, hey, you know what? We're now naturopathy because we didn't want to talk about it. We've seen the stuff that was happening, but our licenses were in jeopardy. And we just paid 6 years of school. We just paid this year's school. I'm still paying on school. And I realized that the help that I thought I was doing, I'm not doing. And these people are saying, hey, they have a guilty conscience now. And it's not their fault.
No, they were
and a lot of
indoctrinated like we all were. They were indoctrinated
yeah,
like the rest of us.
and they were saying, hey, you know what? I feel better now that I have my own practice or I'm not whatever, but their licenses and degrees and stuff were on jeopardy. If you didn't go with the protocol, they would call you a quack, or they would say, hey, you'd lose your license. And you see this happen. Like, it was funny during this thing, these people that had Nobel Prizes, the media was turning on them and saying, hey, these people are quacks. They just gone cuckoo. Don't listen to these people. I don't care about their 5 Nobel Prizes. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
They've lost it now. It's like,
Cherokee,
listen to
where do
this
you
guy.
live? Cherokee Essence, where do you live? Sorry, EJ. They're talking about buying a whole cow and splitting the meat and stuff. Sorry, I got wrapped up in the comment section.
No,
but yeah, buy a cow. There's actually farms, you can go there. You can actually have them raise a baby cow for you, grass fed, grass finished. So yeah, I think everybody should be doing that.
California, I think.
And buy everything.
Lives in the city in California.
Oh, you live with From Them Farms?
That's my other half. That's my wife.
Nice. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you, Cherokee.
Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Y'all, I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin. It's an hour past my bedtime, and I gotta get up and it seems like 2 hours.
I gotta go too. I got my kids. I gotta put them to bed and stuff too. But I could go on and on about all of this.
I could too, because I love this conversation.
I love this roundtable. I love our community.
Hey,
grateful to be a part of
it. Every 2 weeks, Wednesday, we're here, so you guys are more welcome. Alma, Jamie, don't be a stranger. Come and join us next time or when you have time. And
that's how I knew about this last time, because I was in the chat and I followed all of you. I followed Alma and I followed Grow Food Now and all of them.
You guys will see it on YouTube. So if you have other of your community and you want to show them what we're doing, you can send them to my YouTube channel, From Them Farms, and they can watch it there and invite people. Almost been doing it. We want this community to grow. This is not just for me. It's for you guys, and it's for other people like-minded. Even if they're just listening, maybe they'll get a little bit of information and it will help. They'll say, hey, I heard this on this roundtable. The herbalists were talking. Hey, this might help with blood pressure, or hey, this might help with this, or hey, mental health, or whatever. We get all kinds of people on here, and that's why I try to keep it an open, thing. Like on my Saturdays, I have, equine therapist, I have herbalist, I have gardeners, I have microgreens. All that has to help us with our health, food, and water. That's what I promote. I love you all. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for doing this.
Love all of you. I will see you guys soon.
All right, bye.
All right,
bye.
Appreciate you. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Bye, Alma.
Bye,
Jamie. You know how to exit out? Do you know how to exit out?
I'm trying to figure it out. I don't go live often. Yeah, I got it.
There she goes. Okay. Yep, she already left. All right, cancel. All right, everybody. Hey, I appreciate everyone hanging out, and I'm blue. But I appreciate you all. I appreciate everyone that's and this will be on Just ask Sarah; she knows where it's at. It's on YouTube channel From Them Farms on YouTube. And if you guys have Facebook and you want to join a like-minded group there on Facebook, and see all the other people that were in here today, my Facebook group From Them Farms. I think I got 20 people or 30 people in there now. So if you guys want to join a like-minded community where we talk about this and share stuff, and if you have herbs and products that you want to promote on there, man, I've like I said, I've been permanently, uh, banned off there, so I don't go by my real name on there. That's why I started the group. But this is so needed. I run into these communities on there all the time, asking the questions that you guys, a lot of you know now that they don't know on there. And I'm trying to get people in there all the time to share this information and share. There's so many people like that needs, these herbalists like Alma and Angie and, Goat and Soap and all these other people. Like this guy, Ash, this guy who's right here. I'll invite him in. And I'm gonna end it after this. But he's in watermelon. He has chicken. This guy's awesome. He's a farmer there in Nepal. This guy's awesome. What's up, Ash? What are you doing, brother? This guy,
Yeah,
he
chilling in the valley.
He has 3 moringa trees where he's at, man. He's got goats. He's got chickens. And this is normal for them. This is what they do out there, out here. This isn't. They considered this a weird lifestyle. People that don't do what he's doing out there. This is like normal life for them out there. So, what's up, Ash?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
very, very, very normal life.
Yep. It's Ash, you got no heat, dude. You got no heat. I got all the heat coming to you. We're gonna be throwing Ferraris, money guns. We got everything here, brother. I got nobody. How you doing? What time is it over there?
Time.
What time are you? Yeah.
At 20.
8:20 in the morning.
At 20.
Ash here's in Nepal, all the way across. If you guys aren't following him, great guy, good sense of humor, good person all around. Oh, what'd you do, Ash? But me and a couple other farmers talked to him because he's a farmer too. He's got his goats and chickens. He's got his moringa trees. He's they the leaves right off the tree. Oh, he abandoned me. But the leaves right off the tree. Oh, he abandoned me. But I'm gonna head off here so you guys can check this out. But I'm gonna head off here so you guys can check this out on my YouTube. I'm gonna download it, record it. Like I said, invite your friends and family, people that want to learn more stuff than what we talked about. Invite them to the YouTube channel. Invite them to my Facebook group, From the Farms. And if you guys are tired of being censored, a lot of you that are being censored, go ahead and join my Bump. It's brand new. It's Bump Social. Download it. We're still working out the bugs on the social media channel, but there's no censoring. You're not going to get flagged. You're not going to get censored if you're. There's no censoring. You're not going to get flagged. You're not going to get censored if you're looking to, promote stuff on there. You can, and if you guys have any problems when you download that app and just things are, we're still working out bugs. But if you need anything, DM me. I talk to these guys every month. We discuss stuff that we're going to add to the app or we're going to do that we want to do. So it's a new social media app that's just awesome. It's just awesome. There's no sensory. They don't flag you